Chapter 1154. Within the palace, Zhao Fu sat on his throne and listened to Li Si report on the casualties of the battle, as well as the casualties of the two kingdoms. A trace of anger appeared on his face. Even though they had quickly retreated, they had still suffered great losses. The beast army did not have a great advantage and could not sweep through the three worlds. However, Qin still had an advantage in terms of numbers. Before, Zhao Fu had wanted to develop the two kingdoms and use them as chess pieces to turn the situation around. He had never thought that they would be discovered so early on, and they had suffered a loss at the hands of the three worlds. Luckily, the Killing Sword Kingdom's identity had not been revealed because this matter was related to another person, the Killing Sword Master. He was someone who had shaken the entire ancient STEM domain and caused countless experts to flock to him. The elf world did not dare to offend such an important person. They would never have thought that Zhao Fu was the Killing Sword Master, nor would they have guessed that the Killing Sword Kingdom was Qin's chess piece. However, this was a special time, so they had to be careful and not develop the Killing Sword Kingdom. This cut off Zhao Fu's plans of developing the outside world, and Zhao Fu could not help but turn his gaze to the two worlds next to the human world. However, before Zhao Fu could think for too long, he received news that Mo Qi had started to attack the southern continent of the Dark Demon world. Qin's matter had been leaked and could not be hidden. They already knew that the Qin Empire had unified the world and had counter-invaded the three worlds, and they also knew about Qin and the three world wars. The close relationship between the Night Dynasty and Qin caused the Dark Demon world to feel that something was off. In the Dark Demon world, Qin had used a large number of wyverns and corpse soul commanders, as well as the 8 aquatic beast kings. In fact, almost everyone knew that Qin had used them to unify the southern continent of the Dark Demon world. As such, they had long since confirmed that there was no mysterious faction behind the Night Dynasty, and that there was only Qin. This made sense. After Yi Tsong ascended the throne, everything that had happened to the Night Dynasty had been under Great Qin's control. In the end, Great Qin had risen up, established a kingdom, and unified the southern continent of the Dark Demon world. It turned out that the mastermind behind all of this was Great Qin. Everyone from the Dark Demon continent thought to themselves that Great Qin was quite insidious and had long since set this up. At the start, Qin's aura was too powerful, and they could not do anything. They could only wait for an opportunity to strike. However, now that they knew that Qin was fighting with the three worlds, they did not hesitate and decided to take action. They wanted to take back the Dark Demon continent. After hearing about this, Zhao Fu felt a headache coming on. Now, the three worlds were tying up most of Qin's forces, and now that the Dark Demon world was in chaos, Zhao Fu could only send forces to support the Night Dynasty. Otherwise, the Night Dynasty would not be able to defend against their attacks by itself. Luckily, they had signed a contract with the Fish Scale world, so they could not attack. Otherwise, Zhao Fu would not have any soldiers left. After all, Qin was fighting against 4 worlds at the same time, and all of his forces were tied up. He could not send out many soldiers to defend against the Fish Scale world's invasion. Zhao Fu had already sent out his 3 most trusted generals. Wang Jian was responsible for defending the Fish Scale world. Bai Qi was responsible for the 3 worlds outside, and Wei Liao was in charge of the situation in the southern continent. If Zhao Fu wanted to continue making arrangements, he would not have any other choice. He could only continue to fight in the Fish Scale world and secretly set up his chess pieces there. With the situation in the other 4 worlds, it was impossible for him to continue making arrangements. If he did, he would most likely be discovered, resulting in unnecessary losses. If they could control another continent in the Fish Scale world, Great Qin would control 3 continents. The Fish Scale world had 7 continents in total, which meant that almost half of the world would fall into Great Qin's hands. In the future, there would be much less resistance in unifying the Fish Scale world. Facing the Fish Scale world, Zhao Fu was mainly worried about fighting underwater. If it wasn't for that, Zhao Fu would not be so worried about the Fish Scale world. After making this decision, Zhao Fu ordered people to gather information on the various continents in the Fish Scale world and see which continents were suitable to attack. Gathering information required some time, so Zhao Fu used the remaining time to cultivate. Zhao Fu did not forget about his trip to the Emperor's Sky Academy in 3 years, so he had to obtain good results. After all, that was the center of the heaven domain, where the geniuses of countless worlds gathered. If he did not work hard, it was possible that he would be oppressed. As such, Zhao Fu could not afford to be careless at all, so he used all of his free time to cultivate. The bright red sun descended into the mountains, and stars appeared in the night sky, twinkling with starlight. Night fell, and every family lit their lanterns, illuminating the cities in the darkness. Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on his bed with his eyes tightly closed. The human-shaped crow, giving off a fiery light, gradually disappeared into Zhao Fu's chest, and the heat in the surroundings gradually subsided as a jade rabbit gradually appeared. Countless traces of gentle moonlight were drawn over and covered Zhao Fu's body. After obtaining these 2 devil marks, no matter if it was during the day or at night, Zhao Fu had greatly improved. During the day, the Sun Devil would help Zhao Fu gather a large amount of extreme Yang Qi, and, at night, the Moon Devil would help Zhao Fu gather a large amount of extreme Yin Qi. However, cultivating like this had some side effects, and it caused a trace of Devil Qi to appear in Zhao Fu's power. Zhao Fu did not feel that it had much of an effect, so he did not pay it much mind. Soon, Zhao Fu's cultivation was interrupted as the people collecting information on the fish scale world had returned, and they brought with them a piece of surprising news for Zhao Fu. There were actually people who had taken the initiative to contact Zhao Fu and express their willingness to serve Qin. Some people could not withstand the pressure from Qin's world-destroying might. So, some people wanted to surrender so that they would not have to worry about Qin's threat. While Qin had been secretly collecting information, they had also secretly sent messages to Qin expressing their willingness to submit to Qin. In order to be cautious, Zhao Fu first ordered people to investigate these people, and after confirming that they were willing to submit to Qin, a trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face. Now that they had come to him and were willing to submit to Qin, Zhao Fu would not have to go through so much trouble to find other targets. Moreover, they were right next to the Darkwater continent, making it even easier for Zhao Fu to make a move. According to the information provided, their faction was not very powerful, and it was formed from 5 or 6 smaller factions. They occupied 10 or so regions, and they were waiting to be taken in by Qin. Now that Zhao Fu had accepted their surrender, they were overjoyed. They had never thought that they would attract the attention of Qin's emperor. If they performed well in the future, they would be able to obtain a high status in Qin. If Qin conquered the fish scale world, their statuses would be the highest among the fish scale people. Chapter 1155. Zhao Fu gathered his subordinates to discuss how to help that small faction develop quickly. They cannot be too obvious, nor could they develop too slowly. This was a special situation, and everyone was on edge. If they were not careful, they might be discovered. There had already been a precedent, so Zhao Fu had to be careful. With Zhao Fu's immense power, he could even attack the fish scale world. As such, he could not develop too slowly, as he did not have much time left for Qin. Qin could be discovered at any moment, and once he was discovered, he would die. Zhao Fu had to quickly raise Qin to a royal kingdom and leave the boundary region to head to the inner regions. However, because of the contract, Qin could not directly act, and he could not reveal any of his methods. Otherwise, they would immediately discover that it was Qin who had done it. A minister walked out and cupped his hands as he said with his head lowered, "Your Majesty, this minister has a suggestion. Right now, we can't use Great Qin's power, so we can only nurture their own strength. We can give them a large number of blood god pills and countless pieces of equipment and create chaos, giving them an opportunity to rise up." Following this, he gave a detailed explanation of this method, and Zhao Fu felt that it was feasible. Qin already had a shocking amount of stage 1 blood god pills, and the fish scale people's cultivation was around stage 0 to 6 or 0 to 7. If they were given a large number of blood god pills, they would be able to produce a large number of stage 1 soldiers. If they were given a large amount of good equipment, their strength would not be low, and they would be able to rise up and become a usable army. At the same time, this was not part of the contract, so Zhao Fu could do it. The most important thing left was how to create chaos and provide them with an opportunity to rise up. This was left to the 11 assassins, who were Zhao Sha's 11 people. They would first leave Qin and join the fish scale people to carry out assassinations. The main task was to assassinate the leader. If the leader of a faction died, the faction would fall into chaos, and this was the most direct method. Zhao Sha's 11 people's assassination abilities were incredibly powerful, and after Zhao Fu obtained the Darkness Soul Jade from the historical remnant, they had perfectly fused with it. Not only did their assassination abilities increase, but their power also increased, and they also had a trace of the Darkness bloodline, which further increased their assassination abilities. Right now, their cultivation was just right at the 7th order, but it was not difficult for them to assassinate a 9th order powerhouse, so it was not wrong to give them this mission. Subsequently, Zhao Fu also carried out the plan. That force now had a total of more than 40 million people. It was not a small force on that continent, but in the eyes of Qin, it was still too weak because Qin could easily conquer the continent now. Zhao Fu had personally brought a large number of blood god pills and equipment, causing the fish scale people to feel incredibly excited. They had never thought that the Qin emperor would personally come, and they hurriedly knelt and paid their respects. Seeing their attitudes, Zhao Fu felt quite pleased and smiled as he said, "As long as you are truly willing to submit to Qin, we will not mistreat you." Following this, Zhao Fu took out a large number of blood god pills and equipment for them, allowing them to quickly increase their strength. They felt incredibly grateful toward Zhao Fu. They had not done anything at all, yet they had received so many rewards. A week later, their factions had greatly increased and met Zhao Fu's requirements. Only then did Zhao Fu start to carry out his plan. With the current situation in the fish scale world, it was impossible for small factions to survive by themselves, and they would be easily destroyed. The only ones that existed were large factions or alliances formed by a few small factions. This faction was the one that was loyal to Zhao Fu, and it was called Little Scale. It had 3 alliances and 1 nation legacy. The other 3 alliances were about as strong as Little Scale, and they were White River, 6 Jade, and Chiyu. The nation legacy was called the Guyu Nation, and it did not have a very long history. However, it was very powerful and could suppress the 4 alliances by itself. The only good thing was that this nation legacy did not have a nation armament, which made things much easier to deal with. Zhao Fu first had Little Scale ally with the 3 other alliances to destroy the Guyu Nation. The surrounding alliances were suppressed by the Guyu Nation and were threatened by it, so it was impossible for them to not act. As such, allying together would be quite easy. Just as Zhao Fu had expected, he had Little Scale's people write a letter, and the 4 alliances easily allied together. In actuality, they all had intentions of allying together, as the Guyu Nation was simply too powerful, and they would not be able to stop it by themselves. Following this, Zhao Fu planned to ally with the 3 other factions to attack together. When the time came, he would have people assassinate the leaders of both sides and have them fight to the death. Both sides would be heavily injured, and he would then reap the benefits. However, the 3 of them were not willing to do this. They felt that it was not time yet, and with their current strength, they would suffer great losses if they fought against the Guyu Nation. This would not be beneficial to their development. As such, Zhao Fu could only give up on his original plan and carry out his second plan. That night, within the Guyu Nation's palace, a powerful-looking fish-scale person sat on a throne. Hearing the report from his subordinates, he coldly harumphed and said, "The 4 of them allied together and want to fight against the Guyu Nation's enemies? They're simply seeking death. Gather our forces and follow this king to destroy them." One of the ministers hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, we can't act rashly. The 4 of them combined are much stronger than the Guyu Nation, and we definitely won't be able to forcefully attack them. We have to think of other methods." The powerful-looking fish-scale person looked quite displeased as he said, What can we do? This king needs to quickly destroy them and increase our own strength. Only then will we have a chance of resisting the Qin Empire. The minister replied. The four of them allied together on the spur of the moment, and it was Little Scale who initiated it. How about we befriend the three factions and destroy Little Scale before attacking them one by one? The other ministers nodded in agreement. This was the safest method, and directly attacking the four of them was quite risky. After the meeting concluded, the Guyu nation went according to their plan. They planned to send gifts and establish good relations with the three other factions. They would first destroy Little Scale, who was trying to cause trouble. However, late at night, 11 figures snuck into the Guyu nation's palace and into the palace. The king had stage 8 cultivation, but because he had a fate dragon and was within a legacy city, he quickly woke up. However, in the next moment, a magic formation suddenly appeared on the ground, and a formless domain soundlessly spread out. It was the assassin domain. Chapter 1156. In actuality, just Zhao Sha alone would be enough to easily kill this fish-scale king. In order to be safe and end the battle quickly, Zhao Fu sent 11 of them to attack. A single one of them could kill a stage 9 king, and with 11 of them working together, how could the fish-scale king survive? After killing the king, the 11 people did not try to hide anything and made a scene. Zhao Sha held a devil saber and rushed at a group of guards. Countless blood-red arcs of light shot out, and in just an instant, 10 or so people's bodies were cut into pieces. Blood and organs fell to the ground, and a pungent stench of blood spread out. News of the king's death spread like wildfire, causing the entire kingdom to be shaken. No one had thought that such a thing would happen, and the kingdom fell into chaos. The other three factions had never thought that the king would suddenly be assassinated. Just then, Little Scale had said that they would ally together to destroy the Guyu kingdom, but they had said that this was not an opportunity. Now, the opportunity was right in front of them. Now that the king had died, there was no one to lead the kingdom, and the other factions began to fight over the position of king. This caused the kingdom to fall into chaos, and this was the best opportunity for them to destroy the Guyu kingdom. The three of them quickly contacted Little Scale, and the four of them took this opportunity to attack together and destroy the Guyu kingdom. Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and had Little Scale's people accept their invitation. The four factions planned to attack from 4 different directions. The 3 other factions gathered a large number of soldiers and impatiently wanted to charge into the Guyu kingdom. They wanted to divide up the Guyu kingdom's territory, resources, and population so that there would no longer be anything that could threaten them. Little Scale's side was not in a hurry to attack, and they gathered their entire army. They had around 30 million soldiers, and all of them had used blood god pills. Their cultivations were definitely higher than ordinary fish-scale people's, and their equipment gave them immense confidence. The Guyu kingdom hurriedly gathered 3 armies to defend against the 3 invading kingdoms, and the 2 sides quickly started a fight. However, Little Scale side was only preparing and did not attack. Zhao Fu was waiting for both sides to suffer heavy losses. Because the 3 alliances were currently fighting with the Guyu kingdom's army, they did not have the time to worry about Little Scale and focused on the battlefield. Kill! The 3 allied armies gave off ferocious auras as they charged towards the Guyu kingdom. Their auras were quite powerful, and they went all out, wanting to destroy the Guyu kingdom. The Guyu nation's morale was quite low because their king had just been assassinated. They had not even chosen a new king yet, and facing the 3 allied armies, they were starting to lose and showed signs of defeat. The sounds of battle were deafening, and the sounds of weapons clashing continuously rang out. Blood splattered everywhere, and the battle was intense. People fell one after another, and the aura of death continued to spread. In the end, the Guyu kingdom still lost, and the 3 allied armies flooded into the Guyu kingdom. They quickly conquered cities and regions and looted all of their resources. At this time, they also learned that Little Scale actually didn't attack, and they couldn't help but feel angry. This clearly wanted them to risk their lives while he reaped the benefits from behind. They had paid a great price in this battle, making them feel quite furious about Little Scale's actions. The three allied armies decided that after destroying the Guyu kingdom, they would destroy Little Scale together and divide its territory. That way, this region would be split into three parts. Thinking about that, the three allied armies became high-spirited. If they could devour the Guyu kingdom and Little Scale, they would become a large faction and would have a decent status in this continent. The Guyu kingdom hurriedly elected a new king. Now that the defensive line had been broken through by the three allied armies, the kingdom was on the brink of destruction. The royal families of the kingdom did not have the heart to fight amongst themselves, and they banded together and gathered their remaining forces in preparation for a decisive battle. Soon, the two armies once again clashed. By now, the three allied armies had gathered together, forming an even more ferocious tide. The Guyu kingdom constructed simple defenses and put up a final resistance. Today is a day of life or death for the Guyu kingdom. If you win, you will be heroes of the Guyu kingdom, and if you lose, you will be sinners of the Guyu kingdom. This is the final moment. Defend the Guyu kingdom to the death. A valiant-looking general riding on a seahorse-like creature shouted to the countless soldiers behind him. We swear to defend the Guyu nation with our lives. They vowed to defend the Guyu nation with their lives. I swear to protect the Guyu nation with my life. Countless soldiers also shouted. This was a moment of life and death, and it was also their last chance. They had to fight to the death for their beloved country. Battle intent and hot blood surged out. The Alliance army was not weak either. A leader stood in the sky and shouted, "Kill! As long as we break through the last line of defense, no matter if it's a woman or a treasure, it will belong to whoever gets it. Those who perform outstandingly will be promoted by 3 ranks." This caused the Alliance army's morale to soar to the extreme. Women, treasures, and power were the things that stimulated their brains the most. With this order, the Alliance army charged at the Guyu nation's army, giving off an unstoppable aura. Boom! A loud sound erupted as both sides fiercely collided. Weapons clashed fiercely, and blood and screams rang out incessantly. A fish-scale person's expression was savage as he stabbed his spear through the bodies of 2 Guyu Nation soldiers and continued towards the other Guyu Nation soldiers. A Guyu Nation soldier loudly roared as he held his saber and rushed forward. Zhao Fu stood in the distance and watched this battle. It had to be said that in the later stages, everyone had experienced a baptism of slaughter and death, and their battle intents were far from what they had been before. It was not just the fish-scale people, but even the cowardly humans had become stronger. The environment could change a person, and if one could not adapt to a cruel environment, they would only die. Zhao Fu did not pay too much attention to these 4 factions, as they were just 4 small factions. Together, Zhao Fu could easily destroy them. The situation was quite unfavorable for the Guyu nation. Before, they had lost many people because of their panic, and now that they had fewer people, even though their morale was about the same, they would still lose. Seeing that it was about time, Zhao Fu did not have any interest in continuing to watch. He ordered Zhao Sha and the others to assassinate the leaders of the Allied army. After losing their leaders, the Allied army immediately fell into chaos, and the Guyu nation's army started to counterattack. The Allied army miserably retreated, but the Guyu nation did not have time to feel happy because Little Scale's army, which they had been waiting for a long time, appeared. Looking at Little Scale's soldiers, who had powerful auras and excellent equipment, the Guyu nation's soldiers felt despair. Chapter 11:57. Now Little Scale wanted him to develop for a while. After he gathered enough strength, he would continue to expand, and his goal would be complete. Zhao Fu returned to Qin City and heard that the 4 sides were in a stalemate, and it would be like this for a long time. They would not be able to break through Qin City's defenses, and Qin City would not be able to do anything to them. As such, the only way out was through the fish-scale world. At the same time, Zhao Fu received news from the inner regions of the ancient stem domain. It was from the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group, saying that they were going to attend the ancient STEM banquet together. It was jointly organized by the 5 large sects, 20 royal kingdoms, and a few large financial groups. The ancient STEM banquet was one of the biggest events in the ancient STEM domain, and not only would there be all sorts of treasures, but there would also be all sorts of races. This was especially so for geniuses. After all, the ancient STEM rankings would be updated, so all of the geniuses had to attend. Of course, the rewards would be incredibly great. Thinking about how this was an event held by all of the top-tier factions in the ancient STEM domain, the rewards would definitely not be disappointing. Zhao Fu was quite interested. This time, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group had asked Zhao Fu to attend as an elder of the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group, and their attitude was quite sincere. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu agreed. Now that the 4 sides in Qin City were in a stalemate, he did not have much to do, and perhaps he would be able to obtain many benefits. There were still 5 days until the ancient STEM banquet, so Zhao Fu was not in a rush. He returned to his palace and continued to cultivate. By now, Zhao Fu's cultivation was at the peak of Stage 8, and he was just a bit away from Stage 9. A day later, a muffled explosion sounded out as a powerful aura exploded out. A black aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu's body, giving off a faint black light as Zhao Fu's body once again went through changes. An hour later, the aura around Zhao Fu's body stabilized, and he once again opened his eyes as a black light flashed. Now, Zhao Fu's cultivation was at Stage 9. His power was not something that Stage 8 could compare to, and his constitution had become stronger. His mind and comprehension had also gone through changes. Zhao Fu did not stop cultivating. Instead, he continued to cultivate and took out a blood pill. This blood pill was as big as a dragon's sun and was blood red in color. It gave off a jade-like luster and gave off a powerful might. This was a blood god pill refined from a Saint Realm expert's corpse, so it was not something that ordinary blood god pills could compare to. The current Stage 9 and the 9 Great Realms were 2 completely different stages of cultivation, and the difference in power was like the difference between heaven and earth. Saint Realm experts were incredibly difficult to kill, and Zhao Fu had only been able to do so with external help. These corpses were from the corpses that Zhao Fu had obtained after invading the 3 worlds. Fortunately, the nation armament's power had not been destroyed, or else if Zhao Fu had faced so many experts, his outcome would have been quite tragic. Zhao Fu consumed the blood god pill, and as soon as it entered his stomach, it gave off an intense light as a blood-red domain spread out and covered Zhao Fu's body. This was the power of the Saint Realm. Back then, that higher being had asked Zhao Fu what the Saint Realm was, but Zhao Fu had not reached that level of cultivation, so he naturally could not answer. However, after using the blood god pill, Zhao Fu now understood what the Saint Realm was. The Saint Realm was about transcending mortality and entering holiness. Whether it was one's constitution, lifespan, or power, they all went through fundamental changes. The Saint Realm's constitution had gone through fundamental changes. Not only was his flesh and blood incredibly powerful, but he could also refine medicinal pills like spirit medicines and had decent effects. His lifespan had also greatly increased, and it was now many times longer than before. Finally, there was power. The power that the Saint Realm wielded was a type of Saint Realm power, and it surpassed the power that Stage 9 experts could unleash. In fact, it was not even on the same level. The Saint Realm used one's body to form a domain, and within this domain, one was the ruler. The power that one could unleash was similar to source energy. It was different to normal domains, such as the Emperor's domain that Zhao Fu had comprehended. This was something that one had comprehended, and it leaned towards the mind. On the other hand, the Saint Realm domain used one's flesh, blood, bones, and tendons as the foundation, and it leaned towards the body. As such, refining a Saint Realm corpse like this allowed one to obtain a high-grade blood god pill while still retaining the Saint Realm's power. At the same time, Saint Realm corpses had all sorts of powerful effects and could be used in many ways, so they were quite rare. They were worth 10 or so times more than a Stage 9 expert's, and they were quite expensive. The blood-red domain was 3 meters wide, and Zhao Fu was within it. However, because he was only at stage 9, it was not easy for him to refine the Saint Realm's power. However, after refining it, his body's power and constitution would become much stronger. After refining it for a while, Zhao Fu had only refined less than 10% of it, which was quite slow. There was nothing Zhao Fu could do, so he could only think of other methods. He thought of using his terrifying sovereign bloodline to forcefully refine the Saint Realm's power. Now, Zhao Fu's sovereign bloodline was one of the most terrifying sovereign bloodlines, and refining the Saint Realm's power would be quite easy. Zhao Fu started to activate his bloodline's power, and his bloodline started to boil before quickly flowing as a black aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu's body. This aura flame quickly expanded, and it filled the entire blood-red domain in the blink of an eye. The blood-red domain became thinner at a visible rate, and its power was quickly refined. Zhao Fu's body quickly absorbed the Saint Realm's power, and the blood-red domain became thinner and thinner before finally disappearing. After refining the Saint Realm's power, Zhao Fu's power greatly increased. However, the increase to his constitution was quite weak, as Zhao Fu's constitution was simply too powerful. After stabilizing his power, what surprised Zhao Fu was that there was now a blood-red domain within his body. This domain was quite special, and it was like an item within Zhao Fu's body. Moreover, it had a strong connection to him, and more accurately speaking, it was like a part of his body. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and the blood-red domain floated out of his palm. At first, it was only as big as a marble, but it soon became as big as a rubber ball, and it looked like a transparent blood-red bead. This blood-red domain contained great power, which belonged to the Saint Realm. He could use the power of the Saint Realm at stage 9 cultivation. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu felt quite interested and started to closely examine the blood-red domain. He found that it could be used as an ordinary domain, a Saint Realm domain, and even a special weapon. Zhao Fu condensed the transparent blood-red bead into an awl, which was also transparent and 30 centimeters long. Chapter 1158. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a powerful shockwave blasted open the doors and windows, causing countless rocks to fly everywhere. Zhao Fu looked outside in shock and saw that there was a crater that was hundreds of meters wide in the empty space outside, with the awl that Zhao Fu had condensed at the center. This destructive power was simply shocking. After all, Qin City's palace had countless restrictions, and the floor tiles were made of incredibly tough materials. Hearing these abnormal sounds, the soldiers in the surroundings thought that something had happened and quickly hurried over. They looked at the crater in shock and hurriedly asked, "Your Majesty, are you all right? Are you all right?" Zhao Fu waved his hand, indicating that he was fine, and he had them leave. With a thought, the awl within the crater flew back and stopped in front of Zhao Fu, turning back into a transparent blood-red sphere. This Saint Realm domain was quite powerful, and Zhao Fu felt that it would be quite useful. Most importantly, Zhao Fu found that his body could withstand many Saint Realm domains. In other words, he could have many of these blood-red spheres. A single Saint Realm domain was already so powerful, and if he had a large number of these Saint Realm domains, the power he would be able to unleash would be incredibly terrifying. In the Emperor Path College's examination in 3 years, these Saint Realm domains would definitely be a powerful tool for Zhao Fu. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu grinned and felt a bit excited. Zhao Fu took out another Saint Realm Blood God pill and swallowed it. A blood-red domain once again expanded out, and Zhao Fu started to refine it. Because Blood God pills could only be used once, if Zhao Fu used them again, his cultivation would not increase. However, Zhao Fu did not care too much, as his goal was to refine the Saint Realm domains and make them his weapons. 7 hours later, there were now 7 transparent blood-red spheres floating around Zhao Fu's body. However, this was far from enough, as Zhao Fu's body could still withstand many more Saint Realm domains. However, Zhao Fu did not have any more Saint Realm Blood God pills, and Zhao Fu felt that Zhao Fu was quite wasteful. He had actually wasted such precious Saint Realm Blood God pills that could greatly increase one's cultivation. However, Zhao Fu felt that it was worth it. After all, the trip to Emperor Path College in 3 years was incredibly important to Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu would do anything to increase his strength. Right now, he did not have any Saint Realm Blood God pills, and it was quite difficult to obtain Saint Realm corpses. As such, Zhao Fu could only order people to go to the inner regions of the ancient stem domain. It would be relatively easy there. If he asked the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group, they would be able to Zhao Fu, the price, and Zhao King. And the Saint Realm God, and Saint Realm, Fu had many corpses and, a total of 65 saint-level corpses were brought back. Among them, there were elves, humans, orcs, demons, merfolk. Altogether, there were 72 of them. This was the maximum number of Sage Realm domains that Zhao Fu's body could withstand. This was mainly due to the support of Zhao Fu's powerful bloodline. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to withstand a single Sage Realm domain. In the following days, Zhao Fu turned to refining the Sage Realm domains and refined all of them into his own. 3 days later, under a blue sky and white clouds, a light breeze blew as Zhao Fu stood in the air. There were 72 transparent blood-red orbs floating around him, giving off a terrifying aura as they spread out, making people feel quite shocked. Zhao Fu looked at the ground below before stretching out a hand and pressing down on the air. The 72 transparent blood-red orbs smashed towards the ground with immense force. Boom, boom, boom. Massive explosions sounded out as the transparent blood-red orbs smashed towards the ground like meteors. Countless grains of sand were thrown into the air, covering the sky and causing the ground to tremble. After everything settled, Zhao Fu looked at the 72 craters on the ground and gave a pleased smile. He could not help but try again before returning to Qin City. With the 72 Saint Realm domains, even though Zhao Fu was only at stage 9, his aura could only be released by a Saint Realm expert. Not too long after returning to Qin City, Zhao Fu received news that he had found a godly spirit altar that could summon godly spirits. It was something that Qin had found while clearing out the half-beast continent, and he was preparing to move it back to Qin City. This godly spirit was a weak godly spirit and an evil god that required blood and flesh sacrifices. In actuality, many weak godly spirits were evil gods. This was because evil gods did not use normal methods to condense their divinity and instead used shortcuts. Even though it was easy to become a god, they were still too weak. To Qin City, this godly spirit was just a tool to strengthen things. After moving the altar back, Zhao Fu prepared to summon another godly spirit before killing it and refining it to obtain divinity. Because the human world did not have the protection of the heavenly domain boundary and City Lord seals could not be used, Zhao Fu decided to personally take charge of killing a godly spirit to prevent anything unexpected from happening. Divinity was incredibly useful, and Qin City had only killed 2 godly spirits clones, so he had only obtained 2 orbs of divinity. This was mainly because the altars of weak godly spirits were not easy to find, and Qin City did not dare to offend powerful godly spirits. Some godly spirits could descend with their true bodies, and some high-grade godly spirits were even more powerful than higher beings. Many higher beings felt quite wary of the godly spirits in the godly spirit world and did not dare to offend them easily. Even higher beings had to be wary of them, so Zhao Fu had to be careful. He was only bullying some weak godly spirits. The altar was quickly moved back to Qin City, and he once again prepared for the sacrificial ceremony. Because he had experienced this twice, everything was still there. For example, the pillars next to the altar were still there, and there were people and beasts tied up. A priest raised his staff as he stood on a black altar and chanted a strange incantation, causing the black altar to give off a faint light. After praising the altar, the priest yelled, "Venerable evil tooth god, please descend." Swish, swish, swish. Just as the priest spoke, the black altar gave off an intense black light, and a massive, formless suction force exploded out. Ark! The people and beasts tied up around the altar looked terrified and howled. Their blood was sucked away by that power, and they gradually turned into dried-up corpses, looking quite terrifying. Countless traces of blood-red chi gathered above the altar, forming a massive blood-red vortex that created a wild gale. Boom! Chapter 11:59. A figure slowly appeared in front of everyone. It was a humanoid creature with a large head and no hair. It had a mouth full of fangs and looked like an elderly person. Its skin was gray-white and it had many wrinkles. It held a wooden magic formation and was completely naked. Its aura was incredibly powerful and could cause people to feel terror. This was the evil god that Zhao Fu had summoned. There were only a few people here, and the main person fighting was Zhao Fu. Right now, whether it was the core or the generals, they were all fighting in the four worlds, so they could not gather any soldiers here. The spatial ceiling magic formation had already been activated, and the evil god sensed that something was off. Its gaze was cold as it looked at Zhao Fu. Needless to say, after a large battle, Zhao Fu held a black tongue of flame. This time, nothing unexpected happened. Zhao Fu had thought that the evil god's true body would descend, but nothing happened. The evil god's clone was not very powerful, so Zhao Fu was able to easily kill it. Zhao Fu refined the evil god's body and obtained its divinity. This divinity gave off an evil aura and was slightly weaker than the demon god's divinity. As for how to use it, Zhao Fu planned to use it on the giant wolf den. Out of all of the beasts, the giant wolves were the weakest. If he fused with this divinity, the giant wolves that spawned would have a trace of the evil god's bloodline and would become more powerful. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a black pillar of light giving off a terrifying aura shot into the sky, and countless wolf howls sounded out in the surrounding thousands of kilometers. Zhao Fu fused the divinity into the giant wolf den, and all of the giant wolves started to go through changes. Their bodies became even larger, and their eyes became pure black. Their mouths became filled with fangs, and they looked quite ugly and terrifying. Sensing the changes to the giant wolves, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a satisfied smile. The giant wolves now had a trace of the evil god's bloodline, and their names had become Evil God Giant Wolves. They were definitely much more powerful than before. After taking care of some matters, Zhao Fu suddenly remembered that today was the Ancient Stem Banquet, so he hurried over to the inner regions of the Ancient Stem Domain. By now, there were countless people gathered on a massive stage. As the largest gathering in the Ancient Stem Domain, there were naturally countless people participating. There were all sorts of races present, and the scene was incredibly lively. Some of the big shots were also sitting on the spectator stands to the side. The people below were divided into small groups, and almost every small group was led by one person. The leader of the group naturally had the most powerful auras, and each of them was the most outstanding person from their race. They all proudly raised their heads and gave off arrogant auras, showing off their extraordinariness. Suddenly, the crowd became incredibly noisy because a red-haired man giving off a powerful aura had appeared on the stage. As soon as he appeared, he was like an orb of searing flames, causing the surrounding temperature to continuously rise as waves of heat swept out. The people around him automatically made way for him because the person in front of him was the young master of the volcano sect, Huiyin, who was ranked 10th. He mainly cultivated fire-type techniques and had already reached an extremely high level. Huiyin felt the gazes from all around and laughed arrogantly. He walked towards the volcano mountain sect. Sensing his aura, everyone whispered amongst themselves. Huiyin's aura had become so powerful, and it was twice as powerful as the previous year. The waves of heat that he gave off were unbearable, and he would most likely be able to enter the top 6 this time. Someone immediately retorted, "That's hard to say. If Huiyin can become stronger, then so can others. Let's wait for the others to come and see." Following that, waves of powerful aura descended upon them. Bing Qi Xue, and his two guards calmly smiled as they appeared. His extraordinary aura and handsome face attracted many people's gazes, and many young women even screamed. Bing Qixue was quite popular. The 8 Origin Dragon sect's young master, Long Yang, had been grounded and could only stay within the 8 Origin Dragon sect to prevent him from causing trouble. However, because of this gathering, he had come out. Long Yang happily smiled as he walked up from the stage. Behind him were 7 peerlessly beautiful women, and they also attracted many people's gazes. Roar! A roar suddenly sounded out as a massive creature heavily landed on the ground, sending out a shockwave that made it difficult for people to stand steadily. That figure was a terrifying bear with a pair of savage and blue eyes and jet black fur. Its body gave off a devilish chi that flooded out, causing people's hands and feet to feel a chill. The bear's figure slowly disappeared, and a young man with a trace of arrogance appeared on the stage. He was the Bear Mountain Kingdom's 3rd prince, and he had enmity with Zhao Fu before. He was called Xiong Xiao, and he was ranked 6th on the ancient STEM rankings. Boom! A massive aura once again descended as a beautiful woman with a mature figure and tan skin wearing tight-fitting clothes appeared on the stage. She had a confident smile on her face and had a mature figure. She was called Gu Qingwei, and she was the young master of the ancient god sect, one of the 5 great sects. She had a cheerful and heroic personality and was quite popular in the ancient STEM domain. As soon as she appeared, many people smiled and went to greet her. She was ranked 8th on the ancient STEM rankings, 1 rank higher than Bing Qixue. Whoosh! An eerie and ghostly wind blew, causing people's hairs to stand on end. They could not help but feel terrified as they turned and saw a man wearing gray clothes and giving off an eerie and cold aura. He was Yu Qianyue, the prince of the Nether Yin dynasty, one of the 20 royal kingdoms. Sensing this eerie and cold aura, everyone could not help but say, this Yu Qianyue's aura was so powerful, and just looking at him made them feel afraid. They wondered what rank he would be able to reach. He definitely would not be ranked low. He was currently ranked 7th on the ancient STEM rankings. A few flirtatious laughter suddenly sounded out, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. They could not help but look over and see a peerlessly beautiful woman with an alluring figure and a group of female attendants in a red dress. She was Jiu Shaoyan, the Wine Sun Kingdom's princess. She was quite powerful and was ranked 6th on the ancient STEM rankings. Looking at her alluring figure and flirtatious aura, everyone could not help but gulp, and some people even started to loudly call out her name. It could be seen that she was quite famous in the ancient STEM domain. Vixen, a young woman coldly harumphed as she appeared in front of everyone. She wore a green dress and looked quite exquisite, and the aura she gave off was also quite powerful. She was the Greenwood Kingdom's princess and had the Greenwood bloodline, which increased one's lifespan and caused one's body to develop slowly. As such, even though she looked 15 or 16 years old, she was actually in her 20s. Ho, little girl, you've come as well. Hearing the young woman's words, Jiu Shaoyan did not feel angry and instead gave a flirtatious smile. Moreover, she emphasized the words little girl. Chapter 1160. Her name was Qing Muzhen, and she was ranked 5th on the ancient STEM rankings. Boom! Another powerful aura descended, accompanied by a sharp killing intent, causing everyone to feel as if they had fallen into an icy cavern. Their bodies stiffened, and they turned their heads to look at the black-clothed young man walking up the platform. Lung Shang was ranked 4th on the ancient STEM rankings and was the young sect master of the Mystic Spirit sect. His appearance caused the entire scene to fall silent, because his killing intent was simply too powerful. Jiu Shaoyan and Qing Muji, who had been bickering, could not help but stop and look at Lung Shang seriously. They could feel that his power had become much more powerful, and it gave them a lot of pressure. Facing these gazes, Lung Shang remained expressionless as he walked towards an empty space. The countless people in the surroundings automatically made way for him. No one dared to block his path. Even the big shots on the viewing platform could not help but comment This Longshang's strength is advancing really quickly. He should be a strong contender for the top 3. His future is limitless." The others nodded their heads after hearing this, while the sect leader of the Mystic Spirit sect looked at Longshang with a smile. Longshang's performance did not disappoint him. Suddenly, countless celestial tunes rang out and multicolored light shone down from the sky, causing countless people to instantly sink into a beautiful melody, as if they were unable to extricate themselves. Everyone saw a group of fairies in white flying down from the sky. The woman in the lead was tall and wore a white palace dress. She wore a white veil and gave off the aura of a goddess. Behind her was a group of female attendants in white dresses, each of them holding various musical instruments, all of them beautiful and moving. Everyone could not help but sigh in amazement, because she was the #1 beauty in the ancient STEM domain and was ranked 3rd on the ancient STEM rankings. She was the young sect master of the heavenly music sect, Ruoshi. Time gradually passed, and soon it was time for the ancient STEM banquet to begin. Everyone looked at the horizon in anticipation because the 1st and 2nd rankers on the ancient STEM rankings had not arrived yet. The 2 of them were undoubtedly the most outstanding geniuses in the ancient STEM domain, and their talent and comprehension were things that no one could compare to. Adding on Ruoshi, they were known as the ancient STEM 3 heroes and were peerless geniuses that countless people looked up to. Their names shook the entire ancient STEM domain, and even people in the outer domains knew of them. However, even though the ancient STEM banquet was about to begin, the 2 of them still had not appeared, causing everyone to feel quite worried. Had something happened? At the same time, the people from the 10,000 Dragon Merchant Association were also anxious. What's going on? Was the message delivered accurately? Why hasn't that emperor come yet? One of the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elders asked one of their subordinates. The follower's forehead was covered in sweat as he said, "This subordinate has confirmed that the message has been delivered." The imperial prince even replied that he might have been delayed by something when he returned. This subordinate will send someone to contact him. The elder heaved a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. This is a time for the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group to show off our strength. With him supporting us, we won't be weaker than their royal kingdoms. The higher-ups want to use this opportunity to deepen our relationship." Clang, clang, clang. Countless sword hums suddenly sounded out as the swords at the waists of countless people seemed to sense something and continuously trembled, causing countless people to feel quite shocked. Suddenly, a massive sword intent covered the entire area, causing countless people to look incredibly shocked. Under this sword intent, they felt as if their bodies were going to be torn apart. Boom! Everyone looked into the distance, only to see a sharp sword light shooting over, as though it was going to slice the heavens and earth apart. In an instant, the sword light landed on the platform, and a young man dressed in green with a long sword at his waist appeared. His appearance caused countless people to feel quite shocked, as that sword intent was simply too powerful and could cause people to feel immense terror. It seemed that the major figures on the stage also looked at this young man with interest. This young man was called Gu Jian, and he was the legacy disciple of the ancient sword sect's sect master. He was a genius in the sword that had not appeared in the ancient STEM domain in hundreds of years, and his talent was supreme, causing countless people to submit to him. Gu Jian's expression was cold as he looked around as if he did not place anyone in his eyes at all. The person he cared about the most did not seem to have come, making him feel quite disappointed. However, in the next moment, he sensed something and looked into the distance. The clouds in the distance suddenly changed as a 5-colored ray of light giving off a powerful aura shot over. Sensing this aura, countless people looked over. Boom! The 5-colored ray of light landed on the ground, and a boundless aura spread out, causing countless people to feel incredibly small. They all looked incredibly shocked as they looked at where the ray of light had landed. After the light dissipated, a handsome-looking young master dressed in white, holding a folding fan, appeared before everyone. He was by Howren, the #1 person in the ancient STEM domain, and he was the focus of everyone's attention. The massive aura that he gave off caused some of the major figures to feel quite shocked. Baiharan's strength had exceeded their expectations, and he was much more powerful than before. Moreover, his big brother's name had shaken many domains. Not only did his big brother have extraordinary talent, causing ordinary geniuses to bow to him, but he had also been the #1 person in the ancient STEM domain for many years and had even been taken as a disciple by a higher being. Before, the higher being who had taken someone as a disciple had been his big brother. Now that his little brother, Baiharan, had such power, everyone could only sigh in amazement at their talent. They were both disciples of the #1 sect in the ancient STEM domain, the Tao cultivation sect. Facing everyone's gazes, Baiharan gave a humble smile and cupped his hands in greeting before walking towards the Tao cultivation sect. After the final person arrived, everyone felt much more at ease. At the same time, they felt quite excited, wondering what these geniuses would do. However, it was evident that everyone was much more powerful than the previous year. The time had just arrived, and the ancient STEM domain banquet officially began. The Tao cultivation sect master, as the most prestigious person, stood up and prepared to announce the results. Boom! Suddenly, an incredibly massive aura swept out like a hurricane, almost blowing everyone away. Countless people could only defend and look up in panic. A cloaked figure appeared in the sky, giving off an emperor's aura and giving off a supreme might that spread out. Everyone's hearts were like candlelight in a berserk gale, and they could not help but want to kneel. His arrival caused countless people to look shocked. They had never thought that such a terrifying figure would suddenly appear. Just this aura alone could cause some geniuses to kneel. This emperor's aura was simply too powerful. Sensing this terrifying aura, the expressions of the countless major figures became serious. They had never thought that such a person would appear. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's people let out sighs of relief, and an elder smiled as he went up and explained Zhao Fu's identity. Only then did everyone know that this person was the mysterious emperor who had ascended the 10,000 Dragon stage and had shaken the entire ancient STEM domain. Chapter 11:61. It was not just the people in the top 10 of the ancient STEM domain who were looking at Zhao Fu seriously. Even the major figures on the viewing platforms were looking at Zhao Fu seriously. The people in the top 10 all felt an unprecedented pressure from Zhao Fu's body, and this immense pressure caused them to treat him seriously and treat him with caution. This person is so terrifying. That was what they all thought at the same time. The major figures on the viewing platforms had heard of this mysterious disciple before, and some of them had been paying attention to him. After all, his identity was a very important matter to the ancient STEM domain. Even though they knew how powerful this person would be after ascending to the 10,000 Dragon stage, now that they had personally seen him, they realized that he was far more powerful than they had expected. With their experiences, they had definitely seen emperors before, but it was the first time they had seen someone with such a terrifying aura. As for the ordinary people, their eyes widened as they looked at Zhao Fu in shock, feeling a wave of terror. Facing everyone's gazes, Zhao Fu felt quite nervous. He found that there were simply too many people, and they were all experts. Wasn't the aura that I gave off too ostentatious? Just as Zhao Fu thought about his actions, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder smiled and said, "Emperor, this way, please. Everyone is waiting for you." Zhao Fu nodded and followed the elder to the viewing platforms. Because Zhao Fu was an emperor from a certain empire and did not belong to the ancient STEM domain, he naturally could not participate as a competitor and could only participate as a guest. As Zhao Fu walked onto the viewing platforms, everyone looked away. The Tao cultivation sect master officially announced the star of the competition, and everyone cheered. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive stone stele on the stage was activated. Countless runes lit up on it, and it exploded out with a ray of light that shot into the sky. Immediately, the heavens and earth dimmed as clouds swirled, and all of the ancient STEM domain's fate quickly gathered. The karmic luck condensed into auspicious clouds, and countless rays of multicolored light sprinkled down from the sky, accompanied by falling petals. The scene was incredibly beautiful, as if it was a celestial realm. All of this was caused by that stone steel. It seemed that the ancient STEM rankings were not simple. If one could obtain a ranking, they would be able to enjoy the fate of the entire ancient STEM domain. This amount of fate was quite shocking, as the ancient STEM domain had 1,000 or so worlds. With so much fate gathered together, it was simply unimaginable. Sitting on the viewing platforms, Zhao Fu understood why so many people had come to attend the ancient STEM banquet and why the various factions viewed it so seriously. As long as one could make it onto the rankings, the providence they would receive would not be any weaker than the providence of a nation. Moreover, this fate was additional, and it was different from traditional fate additions. Additional fate could not be used, and it would only be added to one's body. It was not the same as traditional fate. Traditional fate was like a nation's fate or a sect's fate, which could be used at any time and sent into a nation armament to unleash world-destroying power. Although this additional providence could not be mobilized at one's own will, it still had its basic function as providence. Within the Heaven-awakened world, fate was incredibly important because it directly affected one's fate and one's opportunities. As such, the additional providence was quite useful. Names appeared on the stone steel. The first was by Howren, the second was Gu Jian, and the third was In Ruoshi. There was also an age next to each name, as the ancient STEM rankings definitely had an age limit. Otherwise, it would be impossible for someone to continuously occupy the ancient STEM rankings. For example, the Tao Cultivation Sect Master was the most powerful expert in the ancient STEM domain. Who could surpass him? There were 126 geniuses on the ancient STEM rankings in total, and the ones at the top were all from the 20 royal kingdoms and the 5 great sects. With their foundations, the people they nurtured were all geniuses among geniuses. As such, it was impossible for others to surpass them and could only fall behind. Of course, this was apart from that monster, Zhao Fu. The higher one's ranking was, the more fate they would receive, and the lower one's ranking was, the less fate they would receive. Apart from the direct fate rewards, there are also the rewards from the 20 royal kingdoms and the 5 great sects. The first person would receive the desolate god divinity, 10 days of comprehension, 10 mortal shedding pills, and 10,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The second person would receive a level 12 saint armament, death race sword, 8 days of comprehension, 8 mortal shedding pills, and 8,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The third person would receive a saint pill, 6 days of comprehension, 6 mortal shedding pills, and 6,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The fourth person would receive a golden rock egg, 4 days of comprehension, from mortal shedding pills, and 4,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The fifth person would receive an earth-grade art, heavenly cicada art, 2 days of comprehension, 2 mortal shedding pills, and 2,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The sixth person would receive a world pearl, 1 day of comprehension, 1 mortal shedding pill, and 1,000 top-grade spirit crystals. The seventh person would receive a level 9 saint armament, moon void blade, 1 comprehension book for refining pills, and 5,000 high-grade spirit crystals. The eighth person would receive an ownerless blood jade, 1 comprehension book, 3 refining pills, and 4,000 high-grade spirit crystals. The ninth person would receive a dukedom city, 1 comprehension book, 2 refining pills, and 3,000 high-grade spirit crystals. The 10th person would receive a level 7 saint armament, shield of falsehood, 1 comprehension book, 2 refining elixirs, 2,000 upper spiritual crystals. After these rewards were announced, they instantly caused a commotion. These were the most generous rewards in the past 100 years. The first person would receive a desolate divinity, which was a divinity. It was not stated that it was incomplete, meaning that it was a complete divinity. Only someone who had truly killed a god could obtain it. Moreover, desolate gods were ancient, powerful, and violent godly spirits. They were even more powerful than ordinary gods, and killing them was much more difficult. However, looking at the rhombus-shaped blood crystal that was only as big as a pinky finger floating in the air, it was most likely the lowest grade desolate divinity. There were also other rewards that could be considered as regular rewards, such as comprehension of the Taishu. This was a piece that had fallen from the cosmos' historical remnant, and it was most likely the cultivation ground of a higher being. It contained boundless heaven and earth power and was of great help to one's comprehension. The comprehension books also contained similar power, but because they were replicas, the effects were not as good. The mortal shedding pill was a very high-grade medicinal pill that could purify one's bloodline and get rid of impurities. The top-grade spirit crystal was a cultivation item that contained large amounts of spirit energy. Low-grade spirit crystals could be obtained in the boundary regions, but top-grade spirit crystals could only be found in the heaven domain. Zhao Fu was quite moved by these rewards, as most of them were useful to Zhao Fu. Chapter 1162. There was also the Saint Pill, which had a chance of raising one's heaven grade to Saint grade. Right now, Zhao Fu's grade was only heaven grade. There were not many people with heaven grade in a single world, but there were countless worlds in the heaven awakened world. In comparison, heaven grade was not much, as there were simply too many people. The reason why Zhao Fu's cultivation was so fast was mainly because of his celestial arts, as well as Wu Zetian and the others' contributions. At the same time, their cultivations had increased quite quickly, and it was most likely not just because of the celestial arts, but also because of the Phoenix Chi from the Emperor Phoenix statue. It was a pity that the Saint Pill only had a chance of raising one Saint Grey bloodline and not a 100% chance. However, it was still quite attractive to Zhao Fu. Finally, there was the World Pearl, which was one of the most powerful spatial items. With it, Qin would be able to successfully construct a teleportation channel between worlds. That way, he would be able to set up traps and provide countless creatures to the devil world, turning them into devils. Zhao Fu was quite interested in these things, but Zhao Fu was participating as a guest and not a competitor, so he would not be able to obtain these things. Zhao Fu did not dare to reveal his identity. After all, there were so many terrifying experts here, and if Zhao Fu did something bad, he would not even know how he died. The competition this time was a challenger mode, which meant that people could challenge the geniuses on the ancient STEM rankings. If they could win, they would be able to take their place. Of course, there was a prerequisite. Otherwise, with 100,000 people, one person would definitely die. The prerequisite was to obtain the right to challenge. One had to defeat a certain number of people to obtain the right to challenge. Following this, the competition started in an orderly manner. Arenas appeared on the stage, and the hosts maintained order. The people on the ancient STEM rankings did not have to do anything. They just had to wait for the results and accept everyone's challenges. Before, Zhao Fu had been quite interested in watching the competitions, but he found that there was nothing to see. This was because these people felt that they were too weak, and Zhao Fu's level was too high. He felt like an adult watching a group of children fight, and it was quite boring. Zhao Fu looked at it for a while before looking away in disinterest. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder sensed Zhao Fu's expression and thought to himself, as expected from someone from the heaven domain, it's only right that he looks down on these people's competitions. The elder pushed a plate of spirit fruits in front of Zhao Fu and smiled as he said, "Emperor, eat some spirit fruits first. You'll most likely be interested in the battles on the ancient STEM rankings, unlike now." Zhao Fu courteously nodded. Zhao Fu had come mainly to give the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group face, or else he might not have come. The other major figures looked at Zhao Fu with interest. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group actually invited him over. With an imperial prince supporting them, their aura was quite great, making others feel a bit envious. 2 days later, the challenges concluded and a few powerful people appeared. Their performances were quite extraordinary, and they had even climbed onto the ancient STEM rankings, causing countless people to feel admiration, jealousy, and worship. Following this, the battles between the people on the ancient stem rankings began. The most eye-catching battle was naturally between the first-ranked by Howren and the second-ranked Gu Jian. Gu Jian unleashed a sword chi whirlpool, causing the heavens and earth to seem to be filled with sword chi. It was like a massive gear that spun, slowly tearing apart space. That terrifying power caused everyone to feel terror. Bai Howren unleashed a rainbow-colored domain that contained countless motes of light. These motes of light seemed to be alive and continuously changed. Some turned into trees, some into flowers, some into birds, and some into beasts. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two terrifying powers collided, creating a shocking destructive power that devoured everything in an instant. The barrier that had been set up gradually cracked, and the traces of aura that leaked out caused countless people to fall into an icy cavern. The various experts also hurriedly took action to maintain the cracked barrier, preventing the terrifying fluctuations from leaking out. Zhao Fu felt quite shocked as he watched the terrifying battle between the two of them. As expected from a battle between ancient stem rankings, the situation was completely different from before. Bang! Bang! On the other side, Yin Ruoshi and Lung Shang's battle was also incredibly ferocious, causing countless people to feel shocked. Yin Ruoshi sat cross-legged on the ground with a zither between her knees. Her pure white, slim fingers continuously plucked the zither strings, and the sound was incredibly beautiful. It made people feel as if they were in a garden and were enjoying the scenery. However, there were countless traces of killing intent hidden within. Terrifying sound waves were like corporeal blades that slashed towards Lung Shang, and if he was not careful, his body would be sliced apart. Lung Shang held his sword and turned into a blood-red sword dragon. The seemingly corporeal killing intent covered his body, forming a defensive barrier that blocked the sound waves. Lung Shang roared as he started to attack Yin Ruoshi. The 5th-ranked and 6th-ranked Jiu Shaoyan and Greenwood Harpies battle was just as spectacular. Jiu Shaoyan unleashed a fog, which was not simple at all. It contained a wondrous wine fragrance that could not be dispersed by the wind and could even be touched with one's hand. It was almost corporeal, while Greenwood Harpy turned into a massive tree. The wine fog turned into countless weapons that attacked the massive tree, while the massive tree gave off boundless green light and blocked the attacks. The battle between the 7th-ranked Netherine Dynasty's Qianyue and the 6th-ranked Bear Mountain Dynasty's 3rd Prince, Xiongxiao, made Zhao Fu feel quite concerned. This was mainly because Zhao Fu had some enmity with the Bear Mountain Dynasty's 3rd Prince. Now, he had turned into a massive black bear and swung his claws, sending out wild gales. His attacks were incredibly ferocious and violent. Yu Qianyue summoned countless ghosts, which turned into ghostly shields that blocked the massive black bear's attacks. Back then, Xiongxiao had given Zhao Fu a lot of pressure, and if he hadn't used his full strength, he might have died at his hands. This was mainly because he had a world seal, which suppressed Zhao Fu, making it very difficult for Zhao Fu to defeat him. Without the world seal's power, even though Xiongxiao's power was terrifying, it was not as monstrous as before. It seemed that the removal of the City Lord seal was beneficial to Zhao Fu and not completely detrimental. Moreover, even if he had a world seal, Zhao Fu would not be afraid. After all, Qin had unified a world, and the Qin royal seal had also become a world seal. Zhao Fu also paid attention to the battle between the 8th-ranked Gu Qingyue and the 9th-ranked Bing Qixue. After all, his relationship with Bing Qixue was quite good, and his abilities were quite extraordinary. He was quite proficient with ice-type attacks, while his opponent, Gu Qingyue, walked the path of brute force and could send out countless shockwaves with a single punch. Chapter 1163. The crowd could not help but gasp. This Huayan is too arrogant. He dares to challenge the emperor's son. Although his courage is commendable, he's undoubtedly courting death. The identity behind the emperor's son is not someone ordinary people can afford to offend. Moreover, no matter who wins or loses, there are no benefits. If he wins, he will be slapped in the face of the empire, and if he loses, he will be mocked by the world for overestimating himself. This is simply an arduous and unrewarding thing. However, Huiyin still said this. He wanted to fight with this legendary imperial prince and see for himself the power of an imperial prince. In actuality, everyone also wanted to see this emperor's power. They had heard about his performance on the 10,000 Dragon stage, but they had only heard about it and had not seen it for themselves. As for how terrifying that Emperor Sun was, he still had his suspicions. He could not be 100% sure that this was true. Some of the major figures on the viewing platforms could not help but smile. They also wanted to see this emperor's power, and they were quite happy to see things develop like this. As for the Volcano Sect's sect master, he felt a chill down his back. He had never thought that Huiyin would do such a stupid thing. It would be interesting for others, but the Volcano Sect would have to bear the pressure. He could only hope that things would not become too big. Now, Zhao Fu had once again become the focus of everyone's attention. He had been leaning against a chair and eating spirit fruits as he watched the competition, and he would occasionally chat with the elders next to him, looking quite relaxed. Facing everyone's gazes, before Zhao Fu could say anything, the elder from the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group looked quite displeased because this was clearly a provocation. However, just as he was about to say something, Zhao Fu cut him off. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he looked at Huiyin and said, "That's not a problem, but you need to use your reward as a bargaining chip, and this emperor will compete with you." Before, Zhao Fu had said that he was quite tempted by those rewards, but he did not have an opportunity. Now, Huiyin had given him an excuse. Even though it would be quite embarrassing for an emperor to ask for a reward, Zhao Fu's skin was quite thick, and he was doing this for his own benefits. Everyone had never thought that this emperor would say such a thing. Did that mean that he was interested in those rewards? But with the empire's wealth, it shouldn't be lacking in these things. No one could understand this. What they didn't know was that Zhao Fu wasn't a true imperial prince and was just a fake imperial prince with an imperial bloodline. Huiyin loudly laughed and agreed. He did not care too much about the rewards. He just wanted to see just how powerful this emperor who had reached the 10,000 Dragon stage was. With Huiyin's personality, he would not be convinced unless they fought. This was especially so after someone had listed him as an existence that surpassed the ancient STEM rankings and said that the ancient STEM rankings did not deserve his existence. This caused the expressions of those on the ancient STEM rankings to become quite unsightly. Today, he wanted to see just how powerful this emperor was. Zhao Fu smiled as he flew down from the viewing platform and stood on Huiyin's platform. Everyone also became alert, wanting to see the emperor's son's power. On the platform, Zhao Fu placed one hand behind his back and made an inviting gesture. He gave off a transcendent aura, as if he was a peerless expert. Huiyin gripped the halberd with both hands and looked serious. He did not dare to be careless, as this was an imperial prince. Huiyin roared and attacked first. His body shot out like a fiery light, bringing with it a searing heat wave as he shot toward Zhao Fu. In just an instant, he appeared in front of Zhao Fu and prepared to stab his halberd toward Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu calmly smiled as he looked at him and stretched out a hand, causing Huiyin to feel quite startled. Bang! A black dragon inscription barrier containing immense power instantly spread out, sending Huiyin flying back. After flying back, Huiyin used his foot to stop himself from flying back, and his expression became serious. This emperor was not simple at all. Boom! Huiyin did not hesitate and exploded out with his full power. A terrifying aura exploded out as flames appeared around Huiyin's body, and an intense, searing aura spread out, seeming to twist space itself. Scree! Huiyin immediately used his most powerful attack. He had used this attack to quickly deal with the 11th ranked person and secure his 10th place. He raised the halberd with both hands and pointed it toward the sky. 9 orbs of flames rushed out of his body and flew into the sky, turning into 9 fire crows that gave off large amounts of light, making them look like 9 brilliant suns. At the same time, The incredibly bright light caused all of the water vapor to evaporate, causing the surroundings to become incredibly dry, as if they could burn at any moment. Every stage had a barrier protecting it. This way, the battles would not be too intense and the spectators would not be harmed. However, by now, the barrier was filled with fiery light, and it was so bright that nothing could be seen. The massive heat seemed to be able to melt the barrier, and the heat leaked out, causing the people in the surroundings to take a few steps back. So powerful. It's many times stronger than before. Someone cried out in shock toward Huiyan's attack. Another person also agreed. That's right. Just then, Huiyan didn't even use his full strength and was able to defeat the 11th ranked person so easily. Now that he's using his full strength, it's quite terrifying. As expected from a genius from the ancient STEM domain, with such a terrifying attack, I feel that he can get into the top 6, another person said. I think that legatee is in danger. At that moment, the major figures on the viewing platforms all looked somewhat serious. Huiyan's performance was enough to make them take him seriously, as he far surpassed ordinary stage 9 experts. Legatee, you have to receive this attack. Huiyan held the halberd, and out of the 9 suns, he gave off a powerful aura that seemed to be able to kill a sovereign, causing countless people's hearts to tremble. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 suns gave off power that seemed to be able to incinerate all things as they flew towards Zhao Fu. Their auras caused the air to explode, resulting in massive explosions. The 9 suns simultaneously landed where Zhao Fu was, causing a blinding light to shoot out. A destructive aura spread out, and the ground started to violently tremble. Everyone looked at the stage in shock. They could not help but feel shocked by this attack because it was simply too powerful. If it was them, they would have died without a trace. What will happen to Legatee? That was what countless people were concerned about. After all, Zhao Fu had directly received the attack of the 9 suns, so he would not have a good ending. After the dust settled, Zhao Fu was completely fine within the crater, and there were 9 fire crows surrounded by blood-red energy barriers floating around him. That legatee was able to receive Huiyan's most powerful attack so easily. Chapter 1164. At that moment, Huiyan's face was filled with disbelief. His most powerful attack had been blocked so easily. This dealt a heavy blow to his arrogant personality, making him feel quite dispirited. Even if Zhao Fu had been slightly injured, it would have been good. However, such a powerful and confident attack had not been able to deal any damage at all. How could anyone not feel dispirited? The major figures on the viewing platforms were also slightly shocked that Zhao Fu had been able to receive Huiyan's attack so easily. However, facing everyone's shocked gazes, Zhao Fu's expression became serious and did not look down on Huiyan at all. After all, Huiyan already had the ability to become serious. Right now, Zhao Fu was using the Saint Realm to easily cover the Fire Crows. Because the Saint Realm's power was many times greater than that of a Stage 9 expert, it was quite easy to do so. However, once Huiyan broke through to Stage 9, the power he could unleash would not be so easy to deal with. This was the power of a top-tier genius. Zhao Fu had personally experienced it, and he no longer looked down on Huiyan. Zhao Fu controlled the 9 Fire Crows, which were covered by a blood-red energy barrier to revolve around him. Their auras were just as terrifying, and they were not any weaker than Huiyan's aura. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand towards Huiyan, preparing to attack. Seeing this, Huiyan hurriedly stopped Zhao Fu and called out, "I admit defeat. There's no need to continue fighting. That was my most powerful attack, and yet you were able to receive it so easily. I admit that I'm inferior to you." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that Huiyan would admit defeat so easily. However, since he had admitted defeat, Zhao Fu retracted his attack. Huiyan gave a bitter smile. This was the power of an imperial prince. He was indeed quite a bit off, but Huiyan did not completely lose confidence and said to Zhao Fu, "Imperial prince, if there's an opportunity in the future, can we fight again? Next time, I definitely won't disappoint you. Huiyan's attitude became quite good, and Zhao Fu nodded and agreed. Following this, Huiyan held the fire halberd and jumped off the stage. Huiyan's name on the stone stele automatically fell to 11th place. An unnamed person taking the spot made countless people feel quite surprised. They understood that this unnamed person was Zhao Fu, but if he was not from the ancient STEM domain, he would not be able to enter the ancient STEM rankings. What was even more shocking was that the age displayed behind the name was only 6 years old. This was definitely a joke. This was simply impossible. That imperial prince was only 6 years old. Who would believe this? The ancient STEM stone stele was definitely broken, or else it would not display such a number. It was not just the countless ordinary people who stared at the ancient STEM stele with wide eyes. The other major figures also looked quite confused. Everyone only had one question in their hearts. Just what was going on? Zhao Fu was also a little surprised. He didn't expect it to be like this. However, after thinking about it, he understood why. Zhao Fu was from the ancient STEM domain, so his name would naturally be on the ancient STEM rankings. As for his age, it was only 6 years, which was most likely because Zhao Fu had only been in the Heaven Awakened world for 6 years. Zhao Fu felt that this was quite fair, as Zhao Fu had only been in the Heaven Awakened world for 6 years, which was different to those who had been in the Heaven Awakened world since they were young. Bang! A massive sound attracted everyone's attention. It was the battle between Bai Haoran and Gu Jian. The victor was Bai Haoran, sending Gu Jian flying out of the stage. However, it looked like he had not won easily. Gu Jian had been sent flying out of the stage, but it seemed that he had not won easily. This interruption caused everyone to look quite confused. Just then, everyone's gazes had been drawn over by Zhao Fu, and they had not seen how Bai Haoran had won. This made everyone feel quite disappointed. The major figures on the viewing platforms all fell silent. They were not surprised that Bai Haoran had won, and they were all thinking about what had happened to Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu could not help but break out in a cold sweat. Had his identity been exposed? It was better to run. Zhao Fu wanted to run because he was afraid that his identity would be exposed. Facing the countless experts on the viewing platforms, even if Zhao Fu had several lives, he would not be able to survive. After Stage 9, the cultivation realms were Saint Realm, Earth Realm, Heaven Realm, Harmony Realm, Great Earth Realm, World Realm, Divine Realm, Extreme Heaven Realm, and Emperor Heaven Realm. As the sect master of the Tao Cultivation sect, he was definitely a world realm expert. Even if he did not have a world seal, he could use his own energy to control world energy. He would be more powerful than those who had world seals, and he would have the power to destroy worlds. Just as Zhao Fu was about to run, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder ran over in delight and said, "Emperor, I never thought that you would join the ancient STEM domain. Where are you now? The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group can be a place for you to stay." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite confused. After asking around, he found out that he could change locations as long as he built city. For example, Zhao Fu was originally from the ancient STEM domain, so he could build a city in the Heaven domain. That way, he could give up his previous identity and join the Heaven domain. Zhao Fu was not as nervous and careful. He glanced at the viewing platforms and saw that no one was going to act. However, even if Zhao Fu's identity had been exposed, there was no reason for them to act. After all, there did not seem to be any enmity between them, so they naturally would not act unless Zhao Fu revealed the matter of the Killing Sword Master. In that case, they would have to interfere. Now, Zhao Fu felt at ease and planned to return to the viewing platforms. Being able to enter the ancient STEM rankings was not bad. Not only would there be material rewards, but there would also be additional fate. Bang! Another muffled explosion sounded out as Gu Qingyue punched through Bing Qixue's barrier and sent him flying. She then looked at Zhao Fu, who was about to return, and gave a confident smile as she said, "Legatee, do you dare to fight with me?" This caused Zhao Fu to immediately turn around. The first time was fine, but the second time was like this. She was looking down on him, a fake legatee. Did he not care about his face anymore? "You woman, Zhao Fu felt a trace of anger and leapt onto the stage. Bing Qixue looked quite awkward because he had just been defeated by Gu Qingwei. Looking at Zhao Fu, he did not know what to say. However, he knew his own limits and had personally witnessed Zhao Fu's power. As such, he did not want to exchange blows with Zhao Fu. The referee directly announced the battle between Zhao Fu and Gu Qingwei. After all, Zhao Fu had just obtained the 10th position on the ancient STEM rankings and had the right to challenge Gu Qingwei. Everyone once again felt quite interested, wanting to see how Zhao Fu would deal with Gu Qingwei. This was a woman who walked the path of brute force, a woman who could destroy anything with a single blow. On the stage, Zhao Fu coldly looked at Gu Qingwei, while Gu Qingwei smiled, not minding the provocative words from before as if they had not been said by her. Instead, she excitedly prepared to fight with Zhao Fu, looking quite reckless. The major figures on the viewing platforms did not pay much attention to this, and were instead wondering why Zhao Fu was in the ancient STEM domain. Was he plotting something? They did not know if they were making a big fuss over a minor issue. Chapter 1165. Emperor, are you ready? After Gu Qingwei was ready, she smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu seriously. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and prepared to defend against Gu Qingwei's attack. Boom! Gu Qingwei clenched his fists and placed them at his waist as he got into a horse stance. He then punched out with both fists, sending out a wave of energy that seemed to corporeal towards Zhao Fu, causing the bricks on the ground to shatter. Facing Gu Qingwei's attack, Zhao Fu stood his ground and did not move at all as a black dragon inscription domain once again spread out. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the energy slammed into the Emperor's domain, causing it to tremble. It could be seen just how powerful this attack was. Zhao Fu's expression became somewhat serious. In the next moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It was Gu Qingwei. An aura flame appeared around her body, and her body gave off pure energy ripples that could cause people to feel fear. Bang! Gu Qingwei's body flashed, and she appeared in front of Zhao Fu. She raised her right leg and kicked horizontally at Zhao Fu. She was incredibly powerful and seemed to be able to shatter mountains. Kacha! A clear sound rang out, causing Zhao Fu's gaze to become serious. Gu Qingwei's kick had caused a few cracks to appear on the Emperor's domain. Gu Qingwei had actually been able to break through his Emperor's domain. The people in the surroundings felt even more shocked. For Gu Qingwei to be able to break through Zhao Fu's defenses so easily, it meant that she had a chance to injure Zhao Fu. This was enough to prove that she was more powerful than Hou Yan. By now, the victors of the other battles had long since been decided, and everyone gathered around the stage to watch this battle. Naturally, this included the top 10 people on the ancient STEM rankings. Evidently, just like everyone else, they wanted to personally witness Zhao Fu's power. Before, they had heard about Zhao Fu's terrifying performance on the 10,000 Dragon stage. Even the ancient STEM rankings did not have a place for him, and they were not willing to accept that they could not compare to him. The big shots in the spectator stands also fixed their eyes on the platform. The battle between Zhao Fu and Gu Qingwei had obviously become the focus of the audience. Gu Qingwei was quite dissatisfied that she had only managed to destroy Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain, and she roared as the aura flame around her became even stronger. She continued to kick at Zhao Fu. Kacha! 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 Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain gave off clear cracking sounds as more and more cracks appeared. It looked like the Emperor's domain was about to be shattered by Gu Qingwei's kick. At that moment, Zhao Fu immediately acted. 6 transparent blood-red barriers that were each 1 meter wide appeared around him, turning into 6 spears that shot towards Gu Qingwei with terrifying power. Bang, bang, bang. Muffled sounds rang out as the spear pierced through the ground. Gu Qingwei dodged and retreated 10 meters away. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and the 6 blood-colored spears turned back into 6 blood-colored energy barriers that floated above Zhao Fu's head, giving off a terrifying aura. Bang, bang, bang. Zhao Fu pointed with his finger, and the 6 blood-red energy barriers exploded out with Saint Realm power as they smashed towards Gu Qingwei. The blood-red energy barriers looked quite small, but they seemed to contain tens of thousands of kilograms of force. Gu Qingwei agilely dodged, and the blood-red energy barriers smashed open large craters in the ground. The battle was quite intense. The situation was quite disadvantageous for Gu Qingwei, and under Zhao Fu's ferocious attacks, she could only continuously dodge. Martial God. Facing this disadvantageous situation, Gu Qingwei once again roared, and a hazy figure covered Gu Qingyue's body. That figure was as powerful as a godly spirit's, and a corporeal power spread out, causing the ground to crack. Bang! 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 After receiving this power, Gu Qingwei was able to use her fists and kicks to send Zhao Fu's Saint Realm domain flying, and there were even some cracks on the Saint Realm domain. This meant that Gu Qingwei had the power to destroy Saint Realm domains, and Zhao Fu could not underestimate her. Everyone else could not help but cry out, "This Gu Qingwei is simply too powerful." Do you think Gu Qingwei has any chance of defeating that emperor? I feel that it's possible. I also feel that it's possible. At the very least, Gu Qingwei could destroy that emperor's defenses, but that emperor is indeed terrifying. Bang! Bang! Zhao Fu once again summoned even more blood-red energy barriers, which gave off terrifying power as they smashed towards Gu Qingwei. The power they contained was enough to smash boulders into dust. However, Gu Qingwei continuously sent the blood-red energy barriers flying with each punch. Even though Gu Qingyue's power was being consumed, she did not deal any substantial damage. Now, Zhao Fu understood his true strength. Facing the 8th-ranked person on the ancient STEM rankings, he had to take this seriously. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu pointed a hand towards the sky and summoned 36 blood-red energy barriers. The 36 energy barriers exploded out with Saint Realm power, and the might they gave off caused the ground to crack. Swish! 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 The blood-red energy barriers gave off monstrous power as they turned into rays of light and flew towards Gu Qingwei. Gu Qingyue's expression was serious as she continuously punched and kicked, sending the blood-red energy barriers flying. However, a figure suddenly appeared behind her. Gu Qingwei looked quite startled and immediately twisted her body as she kicked behind her. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Gu Qingwei was still a step too slow. Zhao Fu's fist hit her abdomen and sent her flying back. Zhao Fu had used most of his power in this punch, causing his fist to give off a black light. If an ordinary person took this punch, they would definitely die without a doubt. However, Gu Qingwei flew back 10 or so meters before stabilizing her body. A trace of blood leaked out of her lips, but she did not seem to be heavily injured. At that moment, the blood-red energy barriers automatically flew towards Zhao Fu and floated around him before attacking Gu Qingwei. Bang! 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 Zhao Fu also took this opportunity to attack, continuously punching Gu Qingyue's body, not showing any mercy at all. All right, I admit defeat. After being hit a few times, Gu Qingyue's body was covered with bruises and swollen areas, causing her to gasp in pain. As a body cultivator, her constitution was quite powerful, but she could not endure being beaten up like this by Zhao Fu. After she admitted defeat, Zhao Fu stopped. The ancient STEM rankings flashed as Zhao Fu became the 8th ranked, while Gu Qingyue's name fell to the 9th ranked. Gu Qingyue's defeat caused everyone to feel quite disappointed. They had thought that she had a chance to win and regain some phase for the ancient STEM domains people, but she had still lost to that emperor. However, it was not easy for Gu Qingwei to force Zhao Fu to personally attack. Zhao Fu now felt a wave of battle intent in his heart. He wanted to see just how powerful he was. This was mainly in preparation for his trip to the Heaven Domain in 3 years, and these people could be his whetstones. Chapter 1166. Facing Zhao Fu, who looked like he was going to fight everyone, the ordinary people looked at each other. They naturally did not have a right to go up, and even if they did, they would be completely crushed. They were not a match for this emperor at all. Now, they looked at the top 10 people on the ancient STEM rankings. Only they had a chance of fighting with this emperor. Some people could not help but cheer for these geniuses to win back some faith for the ancient STEM domain. The 7th-ranked Yu Qianyue was the first to go up and immediately used his most powerful attack. In actuality, he was only a bit stronger than Gu Qingyue, and since Gu Qingyue had lost so easily, he naturally had to use his full strength. Arc. He took out a gray flag and placed it on the platform, causing a massive wave of in-chi to spread out. Countless mournful cries sounded out from within, coming from countless evil ghosts. There were over 10,000 of them, and they were densely packed together. The temperature in the surroundings fell by dozens of degrees, and looking at the powerful auras of the ghosts, countless people's hair stood on end. Yu Qianyue waved the flag in his hand and controlled the ghost army to flood towards Zhao Fu, giving off massive sounds. Arg. Facing Yu Qianyue's attack, Zhao Fu's body gave off countless traces of ghostly qi, and the 6 gray dots in his right eye quickly spun. Wild-looking ghosts with powerful bodies were summoned, and they were evidently many times stronger than the ones Yu Qianyue had summoned. Everyone felt quite surprised. Looking at the ghostly qi that Zhao Fu gave off, they realized that he could use the same attack as Yu Qianyue. Boom! The 2 ghost armies gave off ferocious auras as they clashed together, and the countless ghosts summoned by Yu Qianyue were torn apart by Zhao Fu's ghosts at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yu Qianyue's expression fell, and he immediately cut open his palm and let his blood fall onto the flag. The flag gave off an intense blood-red light, and Yu Qianyue yelled, "Ghost Dynasty, ghost soldiers, appear!" Boom! Yu Qianyue waved the blood-red flag in his hand, and a massive aura of killing and conquering exploded out. Clanging sounds rang out as armored ghostly soldiers holding weapons appeared, giving off the feeling that they were about to conquer a battlefield. This powerful aura exploded out, causing everyone's minds to tremble. This aura far surpassed anything that Huyen had unleashed before. The countless ghost soldiers were definitely stronger than the specters that Zhao Fu had summoned. Everyone focused their attention, waiting to see how Zhao Fu would deal with them. Perhaps Yu Shallow Moon had a chance of winning. However, they were still disappointed. Zhao Fu stretched out his sword finger and said to the ghostly soldiers, "Ghost God soldiers." Clang, clang, clang. The malicious ghosts that Zhao Fu summoned all turned into different weapons. There were swords, sabers, hammers, spears, and countless weapons that brought with them terrifying power shot out, easily shattering the bodies of the countless ghost soldiers and attacking Yu Qianyue. Yu Qianyue was forced to admit defeat in the end. Yu Qianyue, ranked 7th, was defeated. Who else dares to fight? Now, it was the complete opposite. Zhao Fu had defeated 3 people on the ancient STEM rankings in a row, and he gave off a trace of arrogance as he shouted in the surroundings. Just then, they had dared to provoke Zhao Fu, but now, they had been provoked by Zhao Fu. Everyone could only look at the Bear Mountain Kingdom's 3rd prince, Xiong Xiao, who was in the top 10 of the ancient STEM rankings. He looked at Zhao Fu and felt that Zhao Fu was quite familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. He did not want to go up, as it was evident that he would lose. As such, there was no need for him to go up. The 5th-ranked Princess Qingmu lightly harumphed and walked up, wanting to see Zhao Fu's strength. Swish! 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 Princess Qingmu walked up and pointed out, causing countless jade-green leaves to fly out, seeming to tear apart the air. Zhao Fu once again unleashed his emperor's domain, blocking the countless leaves. However, in the next moment, countless vines shot out from the ground, tightly wrapping around Zhao Fu's emperor's domain. Following this, Princess Qingmu pressed her hand against the ground. The ground started to violently tremble as a gigantic pea-like creature with a large mouth grew out of the ground and devoured Zhao Fu in one gulp. Everything calmed down. Everyone stared at the scene in front of them blankly, unable to react. Everything had happened too quickly, one move after another, extremely fast, and then it was over. Looking at the gigantic plant that had devoured Zhao Fu, did that mean that Princess Qingmu had won? Everyone felt quite uncertain. At that moment, Princess Qingmu gave a pleased smile and thought to herself that this emperor had been too confident and careless. He had actually been devoured by the devil bean that she had specially nurtured. This devil bean was incredibly powerful, and even a Saint Realm expert would be able to easily digest it. Shing, shing, shing. Countless sword hums suddenly sounded out as countless rays of green sword light slashed out, cutting the pea-like monster into many pieces from the inside. This caused Princess Qingmu to feel quite pained, and Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light as he attacked Princess Qingmu. Swish, swish, swish. Princess Qingmu angrily roared as countless sharp wooden spikes stabbed out of the ground, seeming to want to turn Zhao Fu into a hedgehog. However, Zhao Fu slashed out with the royal wood sword, causing the countless wooden spikes to shatter. Zhao Fu was currently using the royal wood sword, and because it was made of wood, it was quite useful against plants. Seeing that she was unable to attack Zhao Fu and that Zhao Fu was quickly closing in, Princess Qingmu looked quite afraid as she summoned wooden shields. Bang! 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 Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura as he shot through the wooden shields like a ray of light and appeared in front of Princess Qingmu. Princess Qingmu was given a big fright and quickly retreated. She was not proficient at close-range combat, so she could only summon all sorts of plants to try and stop Zhao Fu while quickly retreating, pulling away from Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu still managed to get close and started to attack Princess Qingmu. Princess Qingmu was unable to retaliate at all and could only passively take a beating. However, Zhao Fu knew his limits. Princess Qingmu was the princess of the Greenwood Kingdom, and the Greenwood Kingdom was one of the strongest out of the 20 royal kingdoms, so it was best not to offend them. As such, Zhao Fu used his fist to greet her. Zhao Fu did not even spare her exquisite little face. In the end, Princess Qingmu's eyes were swollen, and her face was slightly purple as she ran off the stage crying. Zhou Xiaoyan had just lost to Princess Qingmu, so she took this opportunity to mock her. This caused Princess Qingmu to stop and hold back her tears as she started to argue with Zhou Xiaoyan. This match was still won by Zhao Fu. Princess Qingmu, the 5th-ranked expert, had lost, so only the top 4 could fight with Zhao Fu. Chapter 1167. The path of killing was an extreme path, and it was even more extreme than the path of the sword. It relied on killing to transform, and no one who walked the path of killing was a weakling. Lung Shang stepped onto the stage, and the entire crowd fell silent. This was a sign of respect towards experts. Lung Shang was definitely one of the top 3 contenders, and he had the same strength as the top 3 contenders. He also had fame and was respected by countless people. Just then, in his battle with Yin Ruoshi, she had almost lost to him, and she had barely won by a slight advantage. As he appeared, the atmosphere became quite heavy. The killing intent from his body that he did not conceal caused countless people to fall into icy water, and their bodies uncontrollably trembled. Lung Shang stood on the stage and drew the blood-red sword at his waist as he coldly stared at Zhao Fu. He did not show any fear towards Zhao Fu, and it was as if he wanted to kill Zhao Fu. His attitude was somewhat arrogant. Xing. Lung Shang did not say anything and started to attack. He raised his sword and vigorously slashed towards Zhao Fu, and a blood-red sword light instantly flew out, slashing towards Zhao Fu with the power to cut apart everything. Bang! At that moment, Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain once again appeared, but in that instant, the Emperor's domain was slashed apart by that sword light. Zhao Fu looked quite shocked, and he leaned to the side, dodging the sword light that slashed into the Emperor's domain. A 2-finger-wide but extremely deep sword gash appeared on the ground. Everyone could not help but cry out in shock. So powerful. He had been able to break through that Emperor's defense so easily. In front of Lung Shang, that Emperor did not seem like much, and it seemed that Lung Shang would most likely win. This caused everyone from the ancient stem domain to feel quite shocked. By now, Lung Shang was a Saint Realm expert and had grasped Saint Realm killing intent. It was incredibly powerful, and it was not something that any Stage 9 expert could defend against. The major figures on the viewing platforms all looked quite serious, feeling quite interested. Lung Shang's performance was simply too shocking, and he was much stronger than when he had fought with Yin Ruoshi. This was most likely Lung Shang's full strength. "Do you think Lung Shang can defeat that emperor, the 10th rank Wei Yin?" asked the person in the top 10 of the ancient stem rankings. Gu Jin coldly replied, "It might be quite difficult because that emperor hasn't used his full power yet. What he did before was probably just a warm-up. This is the real battle." Hui Yin looked quite awkward because his battle with Zhao Fu had just been a warm-up. However, Zhao Fu was indeed much more powerful than him. Zhao Fu's expression also became serious because he could already feel the pressure from Lung Shang. Furthermore, his own cultivation base and comprehension were inferior to Lung Shang's. Clang! Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed at the void. A gray sword appeared in his hand. It was the Death Sword. Countless deathly auras instantly spread out. Boom! Following this, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive wave of deathly aura slashed towards Lung Shang, bringing with it an aura of death. Lung Shang's pupils constricted, and he turned into a blood-red sword light, giving off ferocious power as he charged towards the wave of deathly aura. Shing! An explosion sounded out as the wave of deathly aura was split in two by the blood-red sword light. Lung Shang shot forwards like a ray of light and arrived in front of Zhao Fu, slashing toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was expressionless as 72 blood-red orbs floated above his head. As Lung Shang slashed over, the 72 orbs turned into 72 blood-red spears, each of which was 3 meters long. They gave off ferocious power as they shot towards Lung Shang. Facing the 72 Saint Realm blood-red spears, Lung Shang's expression fell. This was equivalent to 72 Saint Realm experts attacking him at the same time. Lung Shang changed from attacking to defending. Bang! 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 The blood-red spears gave off terrifying power as they descended. Lung Shang dodged as he swung his sword, sending out large amounts of blood-red light that shattered the blood-red spears. They formed corporeal gales that continuously shattered the ground. At that moment, Zhao Fu raised the death sword and vigorously slashed out. Boom! A massive gray sword light instantly slashed out towards Lung Shang, seeming to slash the air in half. Lung Shang's expression fell, and he used his blood-red sword to block in front of him, but he was still sent flying. After stabilizing his body, a trace of blood leaked out of Lung Shang's lips as he looked at Zhao Fu seriously. This legatee really hasn't used his full strength yet. Now that he's attacking, he's completely different from before, someone said. Another person said in shock, "Looks like we underestimated this legatee." The people in the top 10 of the ancient stem rankings remained silent and did not say anything because they felt that Zhao Fu still had not exploded out with his full strength. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Lung Shang exploded out with all of his killing intent, causing a storm of killing intent to spread out. His body floated half a foot off the ground, and his eyes became blood-red as his hair and clothes danced in the wind. This massive wave of killing intent spread out, causing everyone to feel incredibly shocked. Everyone's bodies became weak, and the heavens and earth started to change as traces of blood red appeared. Right now, Lung Shang was like a god of death, and facing this intense killing intent, the killing sword intent within Zhao Fu's body started to go out of control. How could the killing sword intent leak out? Zhao Fu understood that he had to quickly end this battle in case anything unexpected happened. Zhao Fu stepped out and started to give off all of his power. A massive black aura flame erupted around Zhao Fu's body, and that noble, domineering, and powerful emperor's power swept out like waves, smashing into countless people's hearts. Xing! Lung Shang tilted his sword, and his killing intent caused the space around him to freeze. He gave off a heaven-shaking power as he rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu raised the death sword, and boundless gray light spread out as a figure appeared behind Zhao Fu. It was a pale-faced but extremely beautiful woman wearing a palace dress. Boom! Zhao Fu's sword descended, and the woman gave off a heaven-toppling deathly aura as she rushed at Lung Shang. The two of them heavily collided, and Lung Shang's killing intent, which had frozen the space around him, was instantly penetrated by the ocean-like deathly aura, and he was sent flying back. He crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood before falling unconscious. The countless people in the surroundings could not help but gulp, feeling quite shocked. Was this the legatee's true power? He's so powerful. The major figures on the viewing platforms started to become serious because Zhao Fu's performance had made them take him seriously. Who else can fight? Chapter 1168. In the countless battles before, Zhao Fu had mostly used his city lord seals and nation armament's power. Now that he thought about it, he had relied too much on them and had not been able to fully unleash his own power. This was a weakness. Facing Zhao Fu's provocative words, everyone looked at the top three people. Now that Lung Shang had lost, only they could act. This time, that emperor had viciously slapped the ancient stem domain's face, and he had slapped them again and again. The ancient stem domain's geniuses had all gone up to challenge him, but they had all been defeated. Where had the ancient stem domain's face been? If it wasn't for the fact that he was an emperor from the heaven domain, it would be understandable for him to have such power. If it was someone else who had such power, the ancient stem domain's geniuses would not be able to show their faces in front of others. Everyone looked at Yin Ruoshi. Now that Lung Shang had lost, it would be her turn to go up next. However, Yin Ruoshi lightly shook her head. She was only a bit stronger than Lung Shang, and Lung Shang had only been able to force Zhao Fu to use his full strength. Even if she went up, she had no hope of winning, so she shook her head, indicating that she would not go up. Everyone looked at Gu Jian, and under everyone's gazes, Gu Jian calmly walked up to the stage. The surroundings fell silent as everyone looked at Gu Jian, hoping that this genius in the way of the sword would be able to reclaim some of the ancient stem domain's face. Boom! As Gu Jian stepped onto the stage, a domineering sword aura exploded out, piercing into the heavens. Gu Jian was like a peerless treasured sword, and facing such a powerful and terrifying Zhao Fu, Gu Jian started to explode out with his full power. Xing, 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 Gu Jian waved his hand and swords flew out from his body. There were 1,000 or so swords in total, and all of them gave off sharp sword lights and powerful auras. The lowest grade was epic grade, and the sword aura they gave off was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Right from the start, a storm of sword chi blasted out, and the ground was sliced open by the sword chi. The barrier was unable to withstand it and started to crack, and everyone in the surroundings retreated in shock. Boom! The ancient sword brought along 1,000 swords, and it was like a surging river of sword chi that seemed to be able to cleanse the world as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. The surrounding space could no longer bear it and started to tear. Under this aura, Zhao Fu felt a sense of danger. With such a large area of effect, Zhao Fu could not dodge, so he could only focus on defending. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and his emperor's domain spread out. At the same time, blood-red energy barriers also spread out. This was the power of the divine domain. There were 72 of them in total, and they stacked together, covering the emperor's domain. A chilling aura spread out, and a gray defensive barrier with a six-sided compass imprinted on it appeared. It was the Six Paths defensive barrier. Boom! That sword chi river that could cleanse the heavens and earth slammed against Zhao Fu's defensive barrier. Under this terrifying power, the defensive barrier shattered layer by layer as Zhao Fu's body was struck by the sword chi river. The strands of sharp sword chi easily cut through Zhao Fu's body, causing tiny wounds to appear on Zhao Fu's body. Bang! Even though Zhao Fu did his best to defend, his defensive barrier was still shattered, and Zhao Fu's body was sent flying by the Swordqi River. Everyone could not help but feel excited. It was the first time someone had made that emperor fall into such a sorry state, and it was the first time someone had injured that emperor quite heavily. Gu Jian definitely had the ability to win. It seemed that the legendary emperor was not so terrifying. This was understandable. The 10,000 dragon stage required talent and a person's fate. This emperor's talent was incredibly high, and as an emperor, his fate could be described as an ocean. Everyone wholeheartedly accepted this and did not doubt at all. However, the ancient stem rankings relied on true strength. Without great strength, everything else was just empty talk. Moreover, looking at this emperor's performance, he was at most ranked below Gu Jian. Outsiders saying that he had surpassed the ancient stem rankings was evidently an exaggeration. Seeing that Zhao Fu had been sent flying by the Swordqi River, everyone was now certain of Zhao Fu's strength. They were no longer as respectful or nervous as before. This emperor was only so. Inruoshi slightly frowned. This emperor was not as strong as she had expected. Perhaps she would be able to fight against him. A trace of disappointment appeared in Baihaoren's eyes. It seemed that he did not need to act, and that Gu Jian would be able to deal with that emperor. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder felt quite disappointed. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would be at a disadvantage under the full-powered attack of the second-ranked emperor, Gu Jian. However, he was the person who had made the prophecy, so no matter what, he was still treated as an esteemed guest. Moreover, Zhao Fu only had stage 9 cultivation, while Gu Jian had long since reached the Saint Realm. The difference between their cultivations was not small at all. The major figures in the surroundings also felt quite surprised. They had never thought that the emperor they had been so interested in would not be able to perform so well. Zhao Fu was sent flying, and his entire body sank into the river of sword qi. He was swept by the massive sword qi, and the rays of sword qi tore at Zhao Fu's body, causing him to feel immense pain. Zhao Fu roared and exploded out with all of his sovereign bloodline's power. He felt as if his bloodline was burning, and countless Black Emperor's power flooded out like a fountain, covering the surrounding 1,000 meters. Roar! 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 9 dragons' roars shook the heavens and earth as a sovereign, descending power pressed down on everyone's bodies. Countless people felt their minds and bodies sink, and they knelt to the ground. All of them were affected by this emperor's aura. It was not just by Howren, but Inruoshi's expressions also fell as they felt a power forcing them to kneel. It seemed that the major figures also felt this, but because their cultivations were too high, they could easily suppress it. Zhao Fu rarely used the true power of his sovereign bloodline, and anyone with a lower sovereign bloodline would be affected. The emperor's aura, which caused all creatures to submit, clashed with the river of sword qi, but it did not lose out at all. Powerful gales blew out, and the stage continuously cracked. It was impossible for anyone to stay in the surroundings. Seeing that he was unable to break through the emperor's aura, Gu Jian's gaze became serious, and he flew into the sky with the river of sword qi. Thousands of swords spun around him, and the river of sword qi formed a massive sword qi vortex that seemed to stir up the heavens and earth. The world seemed to gradually darken as a wild gale blew and lightning flashed. A world-destroying aura seeped into everyone's hearts, causing their souls to tremble. Under this world-destroying sword qi, Zhao Fu's body slightly trembled, and he felt an unprecedented sense of danger. The killing sword intent that he had been suppressing this entire time started to go out of control. Chapter 1169. Gu Jian's hair stood on end, and his hands and feet became cold as he felt an unimaginably terrifying sense of danger. He tried to use his sword qi vortex to defend, but the countless traces of sword qi were all destroyed by the crystalline sword qi. The sparkling sword qi quickly entered Gu Jian's body, causing his body to tremble and blood to flow out of his 7 orifices. He fell from the sky, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Before the crowd could understand what had happened, the battle had ended in an instant. They all had stunned expressions on their faces. Just now, I saw Zhao Fu shoot out a trace of sword energy from his eyes, and then everything ended. What kind of attack did that Imperial Prince use? That ancient sword was actually defeated without any resistance. However, the situation was not so simple. Gu Jian's aura was incredibly weak, as if he could die at any moment. The ancient sword sect master hurriedly came down from the viewing platform and looked at Gu Jian's injuries. His expression was quite unsightly as he said, "Sword intent corrosion." The ancient sword sect master tapped Gu Jian's forehead with a finger, and white sword light entered Gu Jian's body. Gu Jian's injuries gradually stabilized, and the ancient sword sect master let out a sigh of relief. He then turned to look at Zhao Fu and said with a hint of anger, "Imperial Prince, you've gone too far. You actually used such a domineering sword intent to corrode the ancient sword. Do you know that it will destroy the sword intent of the ancient sword and turn him into a cripple? He might even lose his life." Zhao Fu did not know how to reply. Just then, under that massive sword qi, Zhao Fu's killing sword intent had instinctively reacted. This killing sword intent would not only go out of control under sword intent, but it would also go out of control under massive killing intent. For example, during his battle with Lung Shang, it had been suppressed by Zhao Fu last time. Because of the ripples caused by the Emperor killing sword world, Zhao Fu naturally could not explain it. Seeing that Zhao Fu did not say anything, the ancient sword sect master could tell that he was at a disadvantage and did not pursue the matter. Even though he doubted Zhao Fu's identity, he had a terrifying sovereign bloodline, and this was a duel, so he would definitely be injured. After picking up Gu Jian's body, the ancient sword sect master flew onto the viewing platform and started to heal Gu Jian. The surrounding people also understood what was going on. It turned out that the ancient sword had been corroded by the sword will. However, Gu Jian was the #1 genius in the way of the sword in the ancient STEM domain, and the sword intent he had comprehended was an extremely terrifying sword intent. But now it had been corroded. What did this mean? This meant that Zhao Fu had grasped an even stronger sword intent. Didn't this prove that Zhao Fu was also a sword cultivator? After all, such a terrifying sword intent wasn't something an ordinary person could grasp. What they did not know was that Zhao Fu was not a sword cultivator. The killing sword intent was fused into his blood. Now, Zhao Fu once again became unfathomable, and everyone thought to themselves, this Imperial Prince still hasn't revealed his true strength. He's hiding it too deeply. Moreover, that sword intent had rendered Gu Jian, a genius of the way of the sword, powerless to resist at all. How could an ordinary person possibly win? Was this the true strength of a crown prince? As expected, he was terrifyingly strong. Everyone had to admit that they were blind and had underestimated the Emperor's son. There was also a trace of shock in Yin Ruoshi's eyes. When that trace of sword qi shot out, her body suddenly stiffened and she felt a wave of fear. As expected of the D-clans, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder inwardly cursed at himself for not being able to see clearly in Zhao Fu's strength. In actuality, the more powerful Zhao Fu was, the better it would be for the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group. The major figures on the viewing platforms all thought to themselves because that trace of sword qi made them feel threatened, and it was also somewhat familiar. Zhao Fu could not help but feel nervous. He had accidentally used the killing sword intent's power. If things went wrong, his identity as the killing sword master might be revealed. "Emperor, I also want to fight with you," a voice sounded out. It was Bai Haoran. The people in the surroundings could not help but say, Bai Haoran is going to fight as well? Facing such a terrifying emperor, does he have the confidence? Bai Haoran is the #1 genius of the ancient STEM domain. If he doesn't fight, who will? Only he can defeat that emperor and bring back some faith for the ancient stem domain. I think it's quite difficult. That emperor only used that one move just then, and the ancient stem domain was unable to resist at all. Who knows what other strength he's hiding? Our ancient stem domain is so big, yet we can't force out an emperor's true strength. That's simply too laughable. Looking at Baihaoren walk onto the stage, Zhao Fu had some thoughts, so he nodded and accepted a challenge. Baihaoren courteously cupped his hands towards Zhao Fu before his expression became serious. Boom! A five-colored aura flame burst forth from Baihaoren's body as powerful gales continuously blew out. All of the power in the heavens and earth gathered towards Baihaoren. Facing the unfathomable Zhao Fu, Baihaoren did not hesitate and immediately used his full strength. At that moment, Baihaoren's eyes became five-colored, and his aura rose to the extreme, causing space to twist. Heaven and earth! Baihaoren lightly cried out as a five-colored ring of light spread out. Above the ring of light was a blue sky and white clouds, while below it was a lush green grass and trees. This was like a world creation power. Baihaoren had created his own world, and he wanted to use it to fight with Zhao Fu. In front of this boundless power, everyone could not help but submit. Baihaoren was a peerless genius in their hearts, and he was the most powerful person in the ancient stem domain. They did not know that Zhao Fu was also from the ancient stem domain. Everyone in the surroundings held their breaths and focused on the stage, not wanting to miss this shocking battle. Boom! Facing the five-colored ring of light, a massive wave of ghostly chi flooded out in all directions, blocking the five-colored ring of light. Sensing this massive and ferocious aura, the major figures on the viewing platforms could not remain calm, and their expressions became serious and shocked. Clang, 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 6 sounds of chains rang out as 6 figures giving off terrifying auras appeared around Zhao Fu, causing the air to become incredibly heavy and cold. These 6 figures were the 6 Paths demon images. After confirming their suspicions, the major figures on the viewing platforms looked incredibly shocked as they found that Zhao Fu could actually use the 6 Paths demon images' power. The 6 Paths demon images were sovereign existences of the underworld, and they were even more terrifying than higher beings. This emperor could actually use their power, and his identity far surpassed anything they could imagine. The major figures on the viewing platforms could not help but feel nervous because this matter involved the sovereign existences of the underworld. The Netherine dynasty's king now understood why Zhao Fu could use ghostly skills and why the ghosts he summoned were not just ordinarily powerful. Moreover, the aura from Zhao Fu's body made him feel quite familiar, and he also felt a trace of might. He most likely had the Death Race's Emperor bloodline. This was Zhao Fu's goal, to use another power to divert attention and hide the matter of the killing sword intent. In the end, he would quickly end the battle and leave this place. Chapter 1170. Boom! Boom! Zhao Fu controlled the 6 Paths demon images to unleash ferocious attacks at Baihaoren. Even though the 6 Paths demon images were only 10 meters tall, their attacks were very powerful. Baihaoren's world domain was almost destroyed by the 6 Paths demon images. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but inwardly sigh. Baihaoren was most likely going to lose. No one in the ancient stem domain was a match for him. However, to be able to lose to such a powerful imperial prince was not a very shameful thing, and everyone felt that it was an honor to lose. As such, everyone could not help but list Zhao Fu as someone who was not on the ancient stem rankings. Boom! The animal path demon image punched out with terrifying power and blasted apart Baihaoren's world domain. The other 6 Paths demon images also blasted apart their world domains and attacked Baihaoren. In the end, Baihaoren was defeated, and Zhao Fu was victorious. Everyone was not too surprised. They had long since expected this. Some people suddenly thought that there was another person in the ancient stem domain who could compare to this imperial prince, and that was by Shantan, who had been taken as a disciple by a higher being. With his power, he would not be any weaker than this imperial prince, and he was the most outstanding genius in the ancient STEM domain in thousands of years. Otherwise, a higher being would not have taken a liking to him. Moreover, with a higher being taking him as a disciple, his status would not be lower than an imperial prince's, and he would not have to fear an empire. Everyone wanted the two of them to fight. That would be a legendary battle in the ancient STEM domain because of their statuses, talent, and power. They were existences that mortals could not hope to reach. Zhao Fu obtained the final victory, and his name was ranked first on the ancient STEM rankings, giving off a brilliant light. Zhao Fu felt a massive amount of fate blessing his body. Bai Haoran crawled up from the ground and wiped away the blood at his lips. He was very convinced as he cupped his hands toward Zhao Fu and said, "Thank you for showing mercy." Zhao Fu politely returned the gesture. Of course, Zhao Fu could not heavily injure Bai Haoran. The Dao cultivation sect was the leader of the ancient STEM domain, and no one dared to offend them. If Zhao Fu was a true imperial prince, there would be no need to fear him, but Zhao Fu was not. With the strength of the Dao cultivation sect, it would not be a problem for them to destroy the current Qin Empire. After obtaining the final victory, Zhao Fu happily went to collect his rewards. This time, Zhao Fu had acted mainly for these rewards, as all of them were very useful. Zhao Fu shamelessly put the top 10 rewards into his pocket, leaving behind some spirit crystals and medicinal pills. Everyone was speechless, and they thought, this imperial prince is too shameless. However, with the other party's strength and status, they naturally couldn't say anything. Moreover, with their wealth, they didn't really care about the rewards. It was a good opportunity to befriend an expert like Zhao Fu. Now, Zhao Fu had undoubtedly become the most eye-catching person in the ancient STEM domain, and both his status and strength were acknowledged. After putting away the rewards, Zhao Fu planned to leave. He remembered the killing sword intent that he had unintentionally unleashed, so it would be best for him to leave as soon as possible. Suddenly, a howl sounded out, and everyone could not help but look towards the viewing platforms because that howl had come from there. Gu Jian's body gave off a blood-red light, and he looked incredibly pained as if his body was being cut by tens of thousands of swords. Beside him, the ancient sword sect master looked quite confused. He found that he could no longer suppress that berserk sword intent. Just what kind of sword intent was this? With his cultivation and comprehension of the way of the sword, he was unable to suppress it. Seeing his beloved disciple in such pain, the ancient sword sect master started to panic, and he hurriedly tried to use all sorts of methods to suppress that sword intent. Shing, shing, shing. Swords flew out from the ancient sword sect master's body and floated around Gu Jian, giving off intense sword light that slowly entered Gu Jian's body. Kill! 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 The blood-red sword chi in Gu Jian's mind gave off an intense blood-red light that corroded Gu Jian's soul. The sword light that entered from the outside surrounded the blood-red sword chi, trying to suppress it. However, the blood-red sword chi was abnormally tough, and the sword light that entered was like cotton against the blood-red sword chi. They were completely ineffective, and instead, the sword light that entered was assimilated by the blood-red sword chi. This was a sword intent that could kill celestials, and even though it was only a trace, it was not something that ordinary people could deal with. Zhao Fu felt that the situation was quite bad, and he turned into a ray of light and shot towards the horizon. The furious and pained ancient sword sect master immediately sensed that Zhao Fu was trying to escape because he had injured his beloved disciple to such a state. Xing! The ancient sword sect master casually swung his hand, and a white sword light containing immense power instantly shot out. It flashed through the air and hit Zhao Fu, who was trying to escape. In that moment, Zhao Fu felt quite startled and felt immense danger. He immediately put up defenses, wanting to block this attack. Bang! A massive sound rang out as Zhao Fu's body was blasted back by the sword light. He crashed 100 meters away and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Everyone in the surroundings looked quite confused. They had never thought that the ancient sword sect master would suddenly attack Zhao Fu. The major figures on the viewing platforms were also quite surprised and looked at the ancient sword sect master, not understanding why he had attacked. With his cultivation and identity, he was simply bullying a member of the younger generation. The ancient sword sect master's expression was cold as his gaze fell on Zhao Fu's body. He had seen Zhao Fu try to escape, so he had chosen to act in a moment of desperation. However, he did not regret it because Zhao Fu had injured his beloved disciple to such a state. Now that the blood-red sword Qi had invaded his disciple, Gu Jian might go crazy and become a monster that only knew how to kill people. If that happened, Gu Jian would be crippled, and his many years of nurturing would have gone to waste. This sect master doesn't care if you're an emperor or not. I'll teach you a lesson today. If anything happens to Gu Jian, this sect master will definitely kill you. Right now, Zhao Fu only had a sovereign bloodline, and no one knew if he was a true emperor or not. From the abnormalities on the ancient stem rankings, as well as this emperor's actions, it was most likely that Zhao Fu was not a true emperor. Emperors caused countless people to feel fear not only because they held terrifying power, but also because they had an empire behind them. An empire needed to devour 1,000 worlds, which was equivalent to the entire ancient stem domain's power. With how powerful an empire was, it was not something that a small domain could resist. Zhao Fu endured the pain and propped himself up with his hands as he furiously glared at the ancient sword sect master. He felt a wave of humiliation, but Zhao Fu endured it. With Zhao Fu's current strength, he was not a match for the ancient sword sect master. Right now, Zhao Fu's first priority was to temporarily leave this place. In the future, if he had the chance, he would pay back tenfold. If he died here, everything would be over. Chapter 1171. If he did not kill this person, he would definitely become a great threat in the future. Thinking about that, a trace of killing intent flashed in the ancient sword sect master's eyes. However, he was still quite wary of Zhao Fu, which was Zhao Fu's sovereign bloodline. If he killed him, the empire would definitely destroy the ancient sword sect. Even though it was possible that Zhao Fu only had a sovereign bloodline, what if he really was the emperor of an empire? If he did not have a sovereign bloodline, the ancient sword sect master would not have held back and would have directly killed Zhao Fu without hesitation. Seeing this scene, the ordinary people did not even dare to breathe loudly. They naturally would not stand up for Zhao Fu. Even though there would definitely be casualties in battles, Zhao Fu had injured Gu Jian to such an extent, so it was understandable for the ancient sword sect master to reprimand Zhao Fu. However, for the ancient sword sect master to rely on his powerful cultivation to bully a member of the younger generation like Zhao Fu was a bit too much. However, the ancient sword sect was the second-ranked sect and the third-ranked faction in the ancient stem domain. With such strength, who would dare to say anything? The major figures on the viewing platforms only slightly frowned but did not plan to do anything. After all, Zhao Fu was not one of them, so why should they act? From this, one could see the disadvantage of not having the support of faction. No matter how talented a person was, without a faction, they would still be bullied by others. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder's expression was quite unsightly. Zhao Fu was an important person to the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group, and yet he was being treated like this. The situation was quite bad, and he immediately ordered people to send news back. He smiled as he walked over and cupped his hands as he said, "The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group will do its best to heal Gu Jian's injuries. Sect Master, please do not be angry. Also, he is an esteemed guest of the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group. I hope Sect Master will not pursue this matter." The ancient sword sect master's expression was cold as he directly ignored the elder's words. He was considering whether to kill Zhao Fu or not. A pained cry sounded out as Gu Jian madly twisted on the ground, blood flowing out of his 7 orifices. The ancient sword sect master hardened his heart and straightened his body as he pointed his finger at Zhao Fu. Boom! A huge sword glow swept across the sky, bringing with it a strong gust of wind as it flew toward Zhao Fu. The ancient sword sect had already decided to kill Zhao Fu, and the surrounding people hurriedly retreated, distancing themselves from Zhao Fu to avoid being caught up in the shockwaves. Zhao Fu roared. He had used up a lot of his energy fighting with the geniuses, so he could only use the 6 paths demon image's energy. Boom! 6 clumps of gray ghost chi emerged around Zhao Fu. The 6 paths demon images emerged, and each of them reached out a hand, creating a 6 paths reincarnation barrier. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the sword light blasted against the 6 paths defensive barrier like a bolt of lightning. The 6 paths defensive barrier instantly shattered, and Zhao Fu used the 6 paths demon images to block in front of him. However, they were unable to block the sword light. Zhao Fu's body was once again sent flying, and he rolled a few times on the ground before stopping. His clothes had been shredded by the sword chi, and there were thin wounds on his body from which blood flowed out. At that moment, everyone saw Zhao Fu's appearance. That handsome face, noble and domineering aura, and that pair of strange eyes. This emperor is so handsome. I never thought he'd be so handsome. He's so likable, Jiu Shaoyan said as she looked at Zhao Fu. Beside her, Qing Muji harumphed. Fox spirit, he's about to be killed, and you're still talking about this? Are you in heat again? If you want him to live, you can ask your royal kingdom to save him. Jiu Shaoyan looked over with a trace of condescension as she said, Little girl, you haven't matured yet, so you naturally don't know how to look at men. However, I won't save him because there's no need for the royal kingdom to offend the ancient sword sect for him. Baihaoren could not help but look up at his master on the viewing platforms. The ancient sword sect master had killed the number 1 person on the ancient STEM rankings. This was not a good thing. In the future, no one would dare to come to the ancient STEM banquet. If the number 1 person in the ancient STEM domain was killed, the ancient STEM domain's reputation would suffer greatly, and they would be mocked by the other domains. However, even if the ancient sword sect master acted, Zhao Fu would not be able to resist at all, so Baihaoren naturally did not have the strength to interfere. As such, he could only rely on his master. Facing an expert of the ancient sword sect's level, only the Dao cultivation sect master's master could suppress him. Ordinary people would not be able to suppress the ancient sword sect master. However, the Dao cultivation sect master did not show any signs of acting. After seeing the sword chi from Zhao Fu's eyes and the blood-red light from Gu Jian's body, he had sunk into his thoughts, as if he was waiting for something. Seeing this, the major figures on the viewing platforms did not show any signs of acting. In fact, some people hoped that the ancient sword sect would kill Zhao Fu as soon as possible. After all, Zhao Fu's potential was simply too great, but he was not one of them. It was best for such a person to die as soon as possible so that he would not be a threat to them. Some people felt that it was a pity. After all, such an extraordinary genius was going to die here today. Blood continuously flowed out of Zhao Fu's mouth as he struggled to crawl up from the ground. The ancient sword sect master disdainfully harumphed. Zhao Fu had immense potential and might surpass him in the future, but before he had fully developed, he was like a livestock waiting to be slaughtered. Xing. The ancient sword sect master waved his finger, and a flying sword flew out, giving off an incredibly sharp sword light as it floated beside him. A massive sword intent spread out, causing people to feel as if they had fallen into an abyss, and their bodies instinctively trembled. The ancient sword sect master had taken the initiative to use a killing move, wanting to kill Zhao Fu. Under this attack, Zhao Fu had no chance of surviving. However, just as the ancient sword sect master was about to act, a massive saber image giving off ferocious saber chi slashed towards the ancient sword sect master. It was the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's elder who had attacked. Zhao Fu was someone that the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group regarded highly, and had been invited to the ancient stem banquet. Moreover, Zhao Fu was their elder and could be counted as one of their people. Seeing that the ancient sword sect master was determined to kill Zhao Fu, he had to act. Facing the incoming saber image, the ancient sword sect master felt quite disdainful and pointed his sword at the elder. The flying sword floating beside him spun and flew towards the elder. Swish! A sharp sword light flashed out soundlessly and unimaginably fast. The saber image was instantly torn apart, and the 10,000 dragon financial group's elder's body froze before shattering into countless pieces of flesh. Even though this elder had saint realm cultivation, in front of the ancient sword sect master, he was not much at all. The second great stage was not the same as the first great stage. Chapter 11:72. Arc. Zhao Fu glared at the ancient sword sect master and furiously roared. Just then, Zhao Fu had talked with the 10,000 dragon elder, and their relationship was quite good. However, the 10,000 dragon elder had died because of this, causing Zhao Fu to feel incredibly furious. Boom! A shocking aura exploded out, sending out an intense storm. By now, Zhao Fu no longer had any reservations and used his nation armament's power. The people in the surroundings looked terrified as they quickly retreated. This power was simply too powerful, and they could not withstand it at all. The intense storm even sent some people flying like sand. The heavens and earth started to dim as clouds swirled, and a massive aura covered the entire scene. Seeing that this was not a nation armament of an empire, many people let out a sigh of relief. Otherwise, with the power of a nation armament, it would be able to blast a hole in the sky, and all of them would definitely die. Shing, 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 sword hums tore through the sky as Zhao Fu spread out his hands, and 12 massive bronze swords appeared in front of Zhao Fu, giving off a brilliant azure light and an extremely dense aura of killing and conquering. Boom! Zhao Fu vigorously pushed out with his hands, and the 12 bronze swords gave off terrifying power as they flew towards the ancient sword sect master. The power seemed to twist space itself. Facing the 12 terrifying bronze swords, the ancient sword sect master condescendingly coldly laughed and grabbed at the air, causing a sword that gave off a treasured light to appear in his hand. Boom! The ancient sword sect master vigorously slashed out, and a massive white crescent tore through the sky, sending the 12 incoming bronze swords flying back with shocking power. With your nation armament's power, you want to harm this sect master? What a joke. After speaking, the ancient sword sect master once again slashed out. Boom! The sword light turned into a massive white bird that spread its wings and gave off a sharp and terrifying aura as it dived toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu hurriedly dodged to the side, and a massive white bird landed where Zhao Fu had been, resulting in a massive explosion. A sharp sword chi storm spread out, and Zhao Fu's body was sent flying. A terrifying crater that was 100 meters deep and 1,000 meters wide appeared in the ground, causing countless people to retreat in fear. Cough, cough, cough. Within the crater, Zhao Fu coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood and looked at the ancient sword sect master in the air. His expression was quite unsightly. How could an expert of this level be so terrifying? Even after using his nation armament's power, it was not enough. Everyone on the stage had already retreated to the outside and looking at Zhao Fu in the crater. Zhao Fu, king, Zhao Fu, Zhao Fu, Fu, king, and Fu, and insect Fu, Fu, emperor Fu, and king. From a nation armament's power that Zhao Fu had exploded out with, it seemed that Zhao Fu was not an imperial prince. This was because the nation armament's aura had completely fused with Zhao Fu's aura, and the fusion of power could be said to be perfect. This meant that Zhao Fu was an early king, and only an early king could fuse with a nation armament like this. Later kings would not be able to do this. Now that Zhao Fu was not a true imperial prince, everyone's worries disappeared. Killing Zhao Fu would be as easy as stepping on an ant. This was why the Ice Origin Kingdom had not acted or else they would have a chance to save Zhao Fu. Hua Yin felt quite anxious and went to where the sect was, trying to convince them to save Zhao Fu. Otherwise, he would lose such a powerful opponent. Even though he knew that he was not a match for Zhao Fu, he could not bear to see such a genius die here. However, the sect's people ignored him and said, "This person will be too dangerous in the future, so it's best that we don't interfere. Whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with them. And even if he takes revenge in the future, he won't be able to take revenge on them." If the sect did not act, Huiyin could not do anything either, and he could only watch as Zhao Fu was killed. The Netherine dynasty's king was a cold-looking middle-aged man. His gaze was locked on Zhao Fu as he thought about some things. One was the Death Race's Emperor bloodline, and the other was Zhao Fu's Six Paths demon images and the Six Paths of reincarnation power. The Bear Mountain Kingdom's third prince had long since returned to his father's side and said some things, but the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king did not say anything. Inruoshi had also returned to where her sect was, a look of pity in her eyes. Such a person would most likely become famous in the 100 domains in the future, and even she felt that she could not compare to him. However, facing the Ancient Sword sect's sect master's attack, he would definitely die without a doubt, and no one would be able to save him. She talked with the sect master and told him some of her thoughts, but the Heavenly Music sect's sect master did not say anything. Bai Howren silently waited by his master's side. Even though he did not know why his master was not doing anything, his master definitely had his reasons. As such, Bai Howren did not say anything and silently watched. At the same time, he felt that it was quite a pity that Zhao Fu would definitely die. He was thinking that perhaps his big brother would be able to defeat Zhao Fu, but he would not have that chance in the future. Xing! A massive sword hum sounded out as the Ancient Sword sect's sect master once again attacked. He raised his sword and slashed out, sending out a massive white sword arc that was 1,000 meters tall towards Zhao Fu, giving off shocking sounds. Facing such a powerful attack, Zhao Fu was unable to defend at all and could only dodge. Boom! The terrifying white sword arc easily opened up a 10,000-meter-long sword gash on the stage. Zhao Fu had dodged the main attack, but he was still sent flying by the storm of sword chi. He crashed into the walls of the crater, causing the walls to crack, and Zhao Fu fell to the bottom of the crater. The Ancient Sword sect's sect master came to the top of the crater and stood in the air. He looked at Zhao Fu lying at the bottom of the crater with a trace of condescension as he said, "Your future potential might be limitless, but you will die here today. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for injuring my sect's disciple." The Ancient Sword sect's sect master once again raised his sword, preparing to give Zhao Fu the final blow. A roar shook the surroundings. Under the threat of death, Zhao Fu did not hold anything back. Whether it was the Nation Armament's power, the Six Paths Demon Image's power, or the Sovereign Bloodline, they all exploded out. In the distance, countless traces of fate quickly gathered at the Qin Empire's royal city, and a massive amount of fate entered the Nation Armament. Boom! Within the crater, a massive black aura flame rushed into the sky, causing the heavens and earth to dim. A shocking power spread out, causing countless people's expressions to fall. The power that this nation armament gave off already had the power of an entire world, and it was enough to rival experts of their cultivation. Clang, clang, clang. Chapter 1173. The Ancient Sword sect's sect master's expression changed for the first time. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would explode out with such power. Swish, swish, swish. The bronze sword shot towards the Ancient Sword sect's sect master, and the powerful aura of killing and conquering seemed to cause the surrounding space to freeze. The Ancient Sword sect's sect master swung the sword in his hand, sending out blinding white sword lights that knocked the incoming bronze swords away. The bronze swords that were knocked away continuously flew back towards the Ancient Sword sect's sect master, attacking him from all directions. Sparks flew everywhere as clanging sounds continuously sounded out. The collisions created gales, as if a disaster had descended. However, even though the bronze swords were powerful and incredibly fast, continuously attacking the ancient sword sect master, they were unable to injure him. Ark, seeing that he was unable to injure the ancient sword sect master, Zhao Fu once again roared and unleashed all of his power. Countless bolts of black lightning danced within the crater, and a terrifying power spread out, causing the crater to be unable to withstand it and gradually collapse. This power caused everyone to feel even more shocked. This person could still explode out with such power. It completely surpassed everyone's imaginations. Boom, boom, boom. 12 massive figures giving off heaven-toppling might appear in the sky. Time and space seemed to be forcefully locked down, and countless people felt as if their bodies had fallen into icy water, causing them to tremble. The 12 figures in the sky were people made of bronze. Their hair was tied up, and they were dressed in iron armor. They had resolute expressions and looked like soldiers of Qin. They were the coronation armament of the Qin Empire, the 12 metal colossi. After the 12 metal colossi appeared, they grabbed at the air, and the 12 bronze swords attacking the ancient sword sect master flew into their hands. Their expressions were cold as they gripped the bronze swords with both hands and raised them up. They pointed the swords towards the sky and gave off a warlike voice. "Valiant old Qin, we will face the calamity of our nation. Valiant old Qin, we will restore our country. Until our blood runs dry, we will not rest. West is Qin, rising like the sun. 100 years of national hatred, difficult to pacify. How can there be peace when the world is in chaos? Qin has elite soldiers. Who can contend with them?" Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as a world-conquering aura rushed into the 9 heavens, sweeping out in all directions. Azure flames appeared on the 12 bronze colossi bodies, and this terrifying power could be felt even in the nearby worlds. The 12 bronze men's gazes fell on the ancient sword sect master's body, causing the ancient sword sect master's body to freeze and feel a trace of fear. Before he could do anything, the 12 bronze men raised their swords and slashed down. Boom! A shocking explosion once again sounded out, and the world seemed to explode as 12 resplendent azure sword lights containing world-destroying killing power slashed towards the ancient sword sect master. Even though the ancient sword sect master tried to block, he was unable to withstand that killing power. As the azure sword light slashed into the ground violently trembled and dust flew everywhere. The terrifying shockwaves could shake anyone's heart and soul. Countless people stared at the scene before them in shock. The power unleashed by the 12 bronze men earlier could be said to be world-shaking, leaving everyone speechless. After the dust settled, a shocking crater that was hundreds of meters deep and 10,000 meters wide appeared in the ground. The ancient sword sect master crawled up wretchedly and coughed up a mouthful of blood, looking incredibly furious. With his cultivation, he had actually been injured by someone like Zhao Fu. This was an incredible humiliation. The 12 bronze soldiers looked at the ancient sword sect master, who was at the bottom of the crater. They once again raised their swords and gave off heaven-toppling killing intent as they slashed towards the ancient sword sect master. Facing such a terrifying attack, the ancient sword sect master did not care, and he furiously grabbed at the sky. Boom! A shocking sword light rushed into the sky as a sword chi storm swept out. A massive sword giving off an ancient aura slowly descended from the sky, giving off a massive might that made it impossible for the people in the surroundings to stand. This was the ancient sword sect armament, the Eastern Flow Ancient Sword. In order to deal with this junior, the ancient sword sect master had actually taken out his sect armament. Countless people cried out, but they could understand why. After all, the 12 bronze soldiers were simply too powerful, and if he did not use his sect armament, it was possible that he would lose. Boom! Boom! The 12 bronze soldiers slashed out 12 massive rays of azure sword light, which gave off destructive power as they slashed toward the ancient sword sect master. Shing! The eastern flow ancient sword in the air gave off a world-tearing sword hum, causing the heavens and earth to continuously tremble. It then gave off an intense sword light as a barrier of light descended, protecting the ancient sword sect master. Bang! 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 The barrier of light was incredibly tough, and the azure sword lights from the 12 bronze soldiers were unable to break through it. The azure sword lights exploded against the barrier of light, turning into corporeal shockwaves that caused the crater in the surroundings to continuously collapse. Zhao Fu could not believe it, and he once again used all of his strength, causing the 12 bronze soldiers to explode out with even more powerful auras. They once again raised their bronze swords and slashed towards the ancient sword sect master. However, in the end, it was to no avail. It was unable to break through the barrier of light, nor was it able to harm the ancient sword sect master at all. The ancient sword sect master laughed condescendingly. He was now using the ancient sword sect armament, and with the power of 10 worlds, he could kill gods and destroy Buddhas. The ancient sword sect master clenched his fist, and a massive eastern flow ancient sword in the air turned into a ray of light and landed in the ancient sword sect master's hand, and it returned to its normal size. Looking at the 12 bronze soldiers in the air, the ancient sword sect master coldly laughed and vigorously slashed out with the eastern flow ancient sword. Boom! An unimaginably massive arc-shaped sword light slashed out, sending the 12 bronze soldiers flying. The massive sword light spread out as if it was going to split apart the heavens and earth, and a destructive storm of sword chi blew out. The ground was blasted apart as countless trees were uprooted and rocks were thrown into the sky. All creatures in the surrounding 10,000 kilometers were filled with terror as they ran for their lives, and it was as if a calamity was about to descend. Standing in the air, the ancient sword sect master's gaze was cold as he looked at Zhao Fu at the bottom of another crater, and he pointed his sword at Zhao Fu as he said, "You should be proud that you died under this sect sword." Boom! After saying this, the ancient sword sect master swung the eastern flow ancient sword, sending out a terrifying white sword light as he slashed towards Zhao Fu. Facing this terrifying attack, Zhao Fu had no choice but to desperately defend. He used his power to block with the 12 metal colossi in front of him, and they gave off an intense azure light as a powerful defense. Chapter 1174. After everything calmed down, a sword gash that was 10,000 meters long and 1,000 meters wide appeared on the platform. The platform was in a complete mess, with massive cracks and rubble scattered everywhere. It was no longer as flat as before. Zhao Fu was covered with blood as he lay at the side of the sword gash. His body twitched a few times before coughing up a large mouthful of blood. He propped himself up from the ground with great difficulty and glared hatefully at the ancient sword sect master, flames of fury burning in his heart. In the future, he will definitely kill Zhao Fu, and the ancient sword sect will be destroyed. The pain and humiliation he suffered today will be repaid tenfold. Standing in the air, the ancient sword sect master felt quite surprised. This person had taken an attack from him and had not died. This could be considered a miracle. Facing Zhao Fu's cold and hateful gaze, the ancient sword sect master laughed and said, "What? Are you angry? You want to kill me? Do you think you can do it? If you kneel down and beg this sect leader now, this sect leader will give you a quick death." Zhao Fu glared at the ancient sword sect master and tightly clenched his fists. His fingertips stabbed into his palms, causing blood to flow out. Pa! Seeing this, the ancient sword sect master, Zhao Fu, condescendingly laughed and waved his hand, slapping Zhao Fu across the face and sending Zhao Fu flying. Zhao Fu fell more than 10 meters away and spat out another mouthful of blood. He struggled to get up. Pa! The ancient sword sect master laughed as he once again slapped Zhao Fu, sending him flying back. Seeing this, the people in the surroundings could not help but sigh. This was evidently humiliating that person, and for the ancient sword sect master to do such a thing, everyone felt quite uncomfortable. However, they did not stop him. The woman in black next to Bing Qixue thought about how arrogant and domineering Zhao Fu had been, challenging all of the geniuses on the rankings. Now that he had been humiliated like this, she could not help but say, "Your Majesty, with his outstanding talent, will the Ice Origin Kingdom really not save him?" Hearing this, Bing Qixue looked at the higher-ups of the Ice Origin Kingdom and helplessly nodded. Inruoshi could not help but say to the noble and beautiful middle-aged woman next to her, "Master, it's not a big deal. Are you really not going to consider my suggestion? It's such a pity that a prodigy like him is humiliated here." The noble and beautiful woman responded softly, "It's not worth it. That person has no chance of surviving today. Even if I make a move, I won't be able to change anything. At that time, we might end up offending a few major powers." Inruoshi felt quite startled and could not understand her master's words. Why were they offending so many large factions? Wasn't it just the ancient sword sect master who wanted to kill Zhao Fu? Even if they interfered, they would at most offend the ancient sword sect, so why would they offend so many sects? Seeing Zhao Fu being slapped away again and again, Bai Haoren could not bear to watch any longer and said to the Dao Cultivation sect master, "Master, as the most prestigious person in the ancient STEM domain and the host of the ancient STEM banquet, you can't allow this to continue." However, the Dao Cultivation sect master continued to stare at Zhao Fu and did not say anything. The burning pain on his face and the anger and humiliation in his heart caused Zhao Fu to once again go crazy, and he erupted with all of his strength. Boom! Boom! Berserk bolts of black lightning exploded out from Zhao Fu's body and continuously spread out. The terrifying lightning struck the ground, causing it to continuously crumble. 12 massive figures once again appeared in the sky, and a suffocating aura spread out. The 12 bronze soldiers raised their bronze swords and slashed towards the ancient sword sect master. The ancient sword sect master disdainfully laughed and slashed out. A massive crescent sword light containing enough power to destroy all things swept out, once again sending the 12 bronze soldiers flying. Xing! The ancient sword sect master seemed to have had enough fun, and he raised the Eastern Flow ancient sword and casually slashed at Zhao Fu. A massive white crescent sword light tore through the sky, giving off a power that seemed to be able to tear apart space as it flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression was quite unsightly, and he did not know how to defend against this terrifying attack. At that moment, a gray-robed elder appeared in front of Zhao Fu and pressed his hands down. Boundless golden light exploded out as a terrifying power flowed out. Roar! A vigorous dragon's roar sounded out as a massive golden dragon rushed out of the elder's hands, giving off a massive dragon's might as it rushed towards the white sword light. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two attacks collided, resulting in a terrifying shockwave that blasted out in all directions. The ancient sword sect master had never thought that this gray-robed elder would suddenly appear. His gaze became serious as he said with a trace of anger, "Your 10,000 Dragon Financial Group really wants to protect him? You're willing to oppose my ancient sword sect?" The person who had come was the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president, and he was not much weaker than the ancient sword sect master. "He is an important person to my 10,000 Dragon Financial Group. Sect master, please give us some face and let him off. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group will be eternally grateful." The gray-robed elder raised his head and looked at the ancient sword sect master as he spoke loudly. The ancient sword sect master coldly harumphed. Now that things had come to this, there was no turning back. With how much potential Zhao Fu had, letting him off would be incredibly dangerous in the future, so he naturally could not let Zhao Fu off. "Scree, Seeing that the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president was determined to protect Zhao Fu, the ancient sword sect master did not say anything else and directly attacked. He raised his sword, causing countless rays of sword light to form massive white birds that gave off ferocious sword winds as they flew toward Zhao Fu. Even though the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president's cultivation was not any weaker than his, he was now using the ancient sword sect armament, so he did not place the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president in his eyes. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president turned and said, "I'll stall him for a while you quickly escape. You'll have plenty of opportunities in the future. With your potential, you'll definitely surpass the ancient sword sect master, so you need to ensure your own safety first." Zhao Fu felt quite grateful. He had never thought that when no one else would act, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president would act to save him. By now, Zhao Fu understood, so he nodded and exploded out with his nation armament's power, causing a black flame to erupt around his body. He leapt up and turned into a ray of black light as he shot towards the horizon. Facing the incoming countless strange birds, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president continuously punched out with immense power. Waves of formless energy blasted out, blasting apart the strange birds. The strange birds exploded, turning into a storm of sword chi that blasted out. The ground could not withstand it, and it continuously cracked and collapsed. Seeing that Zhao Fu wanted to escape, how could the ancient sword sect master allow Zhao Fu to escape? He raised his hand, wanting to stop Zhao Fu. However, the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president punched out, causing a massive golden dragon to give off terrifying power as it flew towards the ancient sword sect master. Chapter 1175. Bang! A big and muscular figure suddenly appeared beside Zhao Fu and punched Zhao Fu to the ground, opening up a large crater. This figure was the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king. Everyone felt quite surprised. They had never thought that the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king would act. There did not seem to be any need for him to act. The Bear Mountain Kingdom did not seem to have any enmity with this person. The third prince had not been injured by Zhao Fu either. They did not know that there was enmity between Zhao Fu and the Bear Mountain Kingdom. When Zhao Fu's appearance was revealed, the Bear Mountain Kingdom's third prince, Xiong Xiao, remembered everything. Zhao Fu was that mysterious emperor from back then, and this matter was incredibly important. As such, he immediately told his father about the higher being wanting to take Zhao Fu as a disciple. This caused the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king to be determined to kill Zhao Fu. Before, he had not been willing to act because he wanted to use the ancient sword sect master to kill Zhao Fu. That way, he would not cause any trouble. However, the situation had changed. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president was determined to protect him, and he wanted to take this opportunity to escape. As such, the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king had to act. A few cold and eerie laughter sounded out as the Nether Een dynasty's king came to the crater. He was evidently not here to save Zhao Fu, but to kill Zhao Fu. He wanted to obtain Zhao Fu's corpse because it was very useful to him. This was especially so for the 6 Paths demon images and the 6 Paths of reincarnation bloodline. They were so attractive to him that he would do anything. He had been waiting for the ancient sword sect master to kill Zhao Fu, but he had never thought that the situation would change. Not only did the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president want to protect him, but the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king also wanted to interfere. In order to prevent things from changing, he could only show himself. Inruoshi now understood what her master had said. It turned out that her master had sensed that many people wanted to act against Zhao Fu, which was why he had said those words. Now, the 3 factions all wanted Zhao Fu's life. With their strength, Zhao Fu would definitely die, and even the 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president would not be able to save him. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. Zhao Fu was destined to die here. It was already a foregone conclusion, and there would be no accidents. It was a pity that he was so talented. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president's expression was quite unsightly. It was already quite difficult for him to hold off the ancient sword sect master, and now there were two more experts of the same level. This put him in danger, and he was unable to protect Zhao Fu at all. Could it be that after waiting for so long, the prophesied person would die here today? Within a crater, Zhao Fu no longer had the strength to climb up. That attack from the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king had broken 5 or 6 of Zhao Fu's bones, and Zhao Fu felt immense pain. This king has a use for this person's corpse, so I'll kill him first. I'm truly sorry. The Netherine dynasty's king looked at the dying Zhao Fu and lightly laughed as he spoke to the other two people. In his eyes, Zhao Fu was a worm that was about to be squashed to death. The Bear Mountain Kingdom's king laughed. He only wanted to kill Zhao Fu and was not interested in Zhao Fu's corpse. He said, "You should act as soon as possible in case something unexpected happens. If this person escapes, it'll be a huge problem for us in the future." The Netherine dynasty's king nodded and raised his hand and pointed at Zhao Fu. A powerful gray light containing shocking power shot toward Zhao Fu. The 10,000 Dragon Financial Group's president hurriedly tried to stop this, but he was forcefully suppressed by the ancient sword sect master. Just as the powerful gray light was about to pierce through Zhao Fu's body and kill Zhao Fu, something unexpected happened. A black and blood-red sword flew out from Zhao Fu's body, blocking the gray light and giving off boundless blood-red light. Boom! A deafening explosion rang out, and the heavens and earth seemed to be instantly torn apart. A vast, crazily twisted killing intent suddenly descended, and the world instantly turned blood-red. Countless people present felt as if their bodies and souls had been sealed in ice, and they felt an endless fear. The black and blood-red sword gave off boundless blood-red light, and an even more powerful ripple caused the heavens and earth to violently tremble. The ground was unable to withstand it and quickly collapsed. This berserk killing intent swept through the surroundings, causing the major figure's expressions to fall. They had never thought that the person they had been searching for would be right in front of them. He's the killing sword master, the person whose abnormal signs can affect hundreds of worlds. He's definitely one of the most dangerous people in the world. The Tao Cultivation sect master's eyes lit up. He had been waiting for this moment. Before, he had guessed that Zhao Fu might be the killing sword master, but he could not be sure. As such, he could only wait for Zhao Fu to explode out in immense danger. The ancient sword sect master also looked quite confused. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would be the killing sword master. He now understood why that trace of sword chi was so terrifying. If he faced that trace of sword chi head-on, he would also feel terror. The Bear Mountain Kingdom's king also looked quite shocked. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would have such power. He had actually hidden it so deeply, and it was someone he had once feared. The Netherine dynasty's king looked at Zhao Fu in shock. The situation had once again exceeded his expectations. Zhao Fu had hidden such terrifying power. The Heavenly Music sect master's expression was quite serious. The situation had completely exceeded her expectations. The terrifying killing sword master was the person in front of her. She could not believe it, but she could understand it. After all, this person's talent was heaven-defying. Huiyin, Bing Qishue, In Ruoshi, Bai Haoran, countless people had never thought that things would turn out like this. Zhao Fu had not used his full strength in his battle against them, and he had been hiding such a powerful killing power the entire time. Now, it was said that he had surpassed the ancient STEM rankings. The ancient STEM rankings could not accept him, and they could not compare to him at all. No one had any objections, as Zhao Fu was simply too shocking. At that moment, the Netherine dynasty's kings, the Bear Mountain Kingdom's king, and the ancient sword sect master's eyes exploded with killing intent. Right now, they only wanted to kill Zhao Fu at all costs. Because the matter of the killing sword master had been leaked, the threat that Zhao Fu posed in the future was dozens of times greater than before. Boom! A shocking blood-red sword light tore through the sky, and the terrifying killing intent caused space to collapse. The Netherine dynasty's kings and Bear Mountain Kingdom's kings were sent flying. Zhao Fu had taken the initiative to attack. Zhao Fu had been forced to use the Emperor Killing Sword power because the killing intent was simply too terrifying, giving Zhao Fu an advantage. The Nether Ean Dynasty's kings and Bear Mountain Kingdom's kings stabilized their bodies in the air, looking quite furious. They did not have the bearing that experts of their level should have, and they joined hands to attack Zhao Fu, wanting to kill Zhao Fu at all costs. Boom! You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.